Good evening, Savva from Savva Talks Football, fresh off of watching a belter between Ecuador and Qatar. Tonight on the Spurs review, I am joined by Pete from at North London is. Hopefully he's finished chewing. How are you, Pete?
I'm right, son. You all right?
I'm good. Everyone's eating and drinking. This is brilliant. Sean from at Spurs Talk Show. Sean, how you doing, my man? You good? You're on mute.
Fucking unprofessional start straight away.
Shocking. I've got two people eating their dinner. One's on mute. Other than that, we're going well here. We're going well. How are you, mate?
It's a good start.
You good?
Me? Yeah, sorry, mate. The internet just cut. Yeah, the internet just cut out as well. Tim, this is a brilliant start, isn't it? I'm well, thank you, mate. I'm really good, thank you.
Yeah. Kuva 99 eating your fish and chips. How are you? You well?
I am now. Yeah. Cheers. Yeah.
Good
stuff.
Well,
I promise it wasn't. Not everybody was waiting just for me, were they? Really?
Well, we'll see. Just to let everyone in the chat know, welcome to everyone in the chat that Kuva doesn't have vinegar on his chips. Please put in the comments just how bad and wrong that is. Boys, we're going to do a show in two halves today. We will talk about Tottenham Hotspur for the first hour, and then for the second hour, we will talk about the World Cup as it has kicked off, albeit in very kind of subdued kind of temperature, should we say. Boys, let's start. I want to talk about Tottenham Hotspur and the transfer window. The transfer window, yet again, is soon to be opening. I think we are 6 weeks away exactly from the transfer window opening. Guys, I keep hearing, and all we ever hear year in, year out is, well, let's see what happens in the window. Let's see what happens in the January window, the summer window, the January. We're there again, Sean. We're at a window, and this time, surely, mate, it's got to be a centre half, one minimum, maybe two, and a right wing back. It's got to be, hasn't it?
You asking me?
Yeah, Sean. Yeah, you're on, Sean.
Sorry, mate. The internet keeps cutting out. I'm back. I think I'm okay now. Yeah, listen. Yeah. The priorities have to be two centre backs and a right wing back. I don't think we need to worry too much about our left wing back spot. It's not perfect, but we've got a good option coming in. I think that there is room for something, maybe for one more in the midfield. Depends on how you want to look at it. I'm sure we can talk about that. And then also, I think that we probably need to improve the kind of the deputy to Kulusevski. I don't think Brian Hill's got the chance or the trust from Conte, and I don't think Lucas Moura's got the stones for it anymore. So for me, I think we need, if we can get something up the other end of the field, then yeah, one wing forward would be nice on the right hand side to kind of give Kulusevski some competition, and maybe a midfielder, but 100% in the front, the back two centre backs and a right wing back are 100% the priority.
And Pete, I mean, what Tottenham need in transfer windows and what Tottenham get in transfer windows don't normally end up, matching. Are you confident that this window that is going to be our first choice? Because the names I'm hearing at the moment are people like Thuram, who's a forward, Malinowski, who can play across the front line and a creative midfield. Are you confident that we're going to get a centre back that we need?
No.
What? Why not? Why are you not? Why are so many confident and you're not?
Because I'm a Tottenham fan and I'm a realistic Tottenham fan. When do we ever get what we need in the window? We always start the window with needs, and then we end the window with needs.
Okay.
I don't really have any confidence at all. I'd love to be wrong, but I'm still waiting.
So a lot of options out there this summer though, or this window, isn't there? There's so many players.
Last summer, didn't bother doing anything, did we?
Yeah, true.
I mean, Kuva, where do you sit with this? I mean, quite simply, something's got to be done. This coincides with this is the last opportunity, I suppose, before Conte's contract runs out. So surely this is the last opportunity to show him, yeah, we're going to back you. Are you confident, or is this just going to be when it's January, it's always hard to do business in January type window?
No, I'm with Pete on this one. I'll expand on it. I don't think we're going to be able to sell the players we need to make room for the new lot. I don't see Levy breaking the wage structure or the sheer amount of players on the books at the moment. I hope I'm wrong, but I think, if anything, we'll be looking, forget all those top names we're linked with, forget all the mid-range things. Might get a budget player, might get a loan signing if we're lucky. I don't see any more than that.
We've got 7 players out on loan, haven't we? And I think the only you can only max 8. I think from memory, the rule changed back in, or at least they made the announcement back in January of this year. But obviously last season they said as of next season, which would be this season we're currently in, I think the max is 8 players out on loan. Then next year it's 7. The year after that it's 6 until they can bring it down to, I think the ultimate goal is to only have 5. And so Cooper makes a good point that if we can't sell, we've only got space to loan 1 more player out unless we tear up contracts.
But I mean, the thing where I want to go with this, Sean, for the moment is that it's, I put out a post earlier. I see you did a post earlier in the week as well about centre backs, and I think we're all aligned, right? That at some point it's got to be the centre backs because that's the way Conte plays, and that's where we're desperately lacking. When you talk to fans, I keep hearing the same names keep popping up over and over again. It's Bastoni, it's Skriniar, it's De Vrij. Do you want these players, Sean? And second of all, are they as good as our fans think they are? And third of all, are they realistic? I.e., why would Bastoni, if he's as good as people think, why is he coming to Tottenham Hotspur?
Well, I don't think Bastoni's coming to Tottenham Hotspur this summer. I think he's already. Romano came out and said that the Inter president has already basically said that, like, he's not leaving, and neither is Lautaro Martinez. But Inter Milan do have these financial issues that they didn't really resolve in the summer. They are in a massive mess financially. They do need to raise money, and that's one of the reasons why I spoke this morning on my view. Not to get off the topic, but I did mention about the idea of potentially getting Brozovic. I know it's a long shot, and I'm not entirely sure if we even particularly need him. But the reason why I thought there might be some ammo there is because the other assets that Inter Milan have, if they're trying to raise money, if they're saying that they don't want to sell Martinez and don't want to sell Bastoni, the other, like De Vrij is out of contract and is valued at about 5 million quid.
Yeah.
Skriniar, I don't know. He's also out of contract in the summer, but he's worth 60 million quid when he's not out of contract. So I don't know what, maybe 35 million, something like that might be able to get him, his arm twisted, but I don't know if he'll want to come to Tottenham. There's plenty of teams that are better than Tottenham. A player as good as Skriniar. So I don't necessarily think that is the easiest one of those two.
I mean, if we look at Skriniar, Sean, I mean, didn't PSG spend the summer trying to get Skriniar out of Inter Milan? I can only imagine that if he was going to go on a pre-contract, I can't imagine that he's going to look at PSG, look at Tottenham and go, you know where I want to go? Do you know what I mean? This is my worry about when fans keep telling me about, we're going after Conte's first choices. I just don't know how obtainable they are versus the likes of an Undukar, who's going to be out of contract from Frankfurt, or a Joachim Andersen, who, in my opinion, we should have got a year and a half ago when he came from Lyon after being alone at Fulham. So is that the worry that bigger clubs than us are going to go after the same type of centre-backs that all our fans want?
I don't think with Skriniar, I definitely think so. I don't think we're going to get him. I think he's to play him in the middle alongside Romero. Then you just need someone on the left, and you got one of the best back threes in the Premier League. But I don't think that's going to happen. I do think that De Vrij, however you say it, I do think that he's available on the cheap. And to me, he does improve us on Dyer. I think he's one of the most underrated centre-backs out there. I think that there's a lot of comparisons to his stablemate in the Holland team in De Ligt. And De Ligt obviously is an absolute beast. So people think of him as lesser, as a lesser of the two. But that doesn't mean he's a bad centre-back. I think he's excellent. I think he's achievable. I love Ndicka as well. The reason I think that there's options with Inter Milan is, as I was saying, I know that they've got that money issue, but they're also interested in Emerson Royale. They're also interested in apparently Davinson Sanchez, and they're interested maybe even in Japhet Tanganga. Allegedly, if there's any truth to it, but that's what Gazzetta dello Sport's been saying. That's what Calcio Mercato saying. I'm just going off of what I've read. And if there's any truth in that, then maybe there is some wiggle room for Tottenham to shove some money towards Inter, and also at the same time kill 2 birds with 1 stone in trying to get Sanchez and maybe Tanganga off of the books from Tottenham's side to make room for these players. So, like I said in my video this morning, you could look to one club and do all of your business in one window if you could just come to some arrangements where they get what they need and we get what we need. The only thing I would say about this, because the first question you asked, sorry, I'm on a rant here. The first Savva was, are they as good as we think they are? If you look at Inter Milan, like they've conceded the most amount of goals, I think, outside. I think you have to go to 14th in the Serie A to find a team that's conceded more goals than Inter Milan have this season. And so maybe their defense isn't that great, right? And maybe we're looking at them with a little bit kind of doting because they're Inter Milan players rather than being actual, the superstars that we want. I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, Pete, one of the key things for me in this whole centre-back argument is we were told in the summer that we didn't actually buy centre-backs because Conte was waiting for his choices that weren't available last year, but they could be available coming up to this summer. Does that, A, give us an excuse as to why we don't buy again in this window that they're not available to the summer? And B, does that then mean that we're constantly going to be in this merry-go-round of not buying players that are available, like Joachim Anderson when he was, like Kim Min-jae? You look at Akanji going to Man City for 15 million. Is it a worry that there are centre-backs out there going for very cheap money that are way better than we've got, but that apparently we're just waiting for these two players that Conte wants?
100%, because let's be honest, we're not going to pay the money that these clubs want for these players. We never do. We'll piss around and we waited this long to start negotiations. Yeah, what do you want? 50 million. All right, we'll start at 30, and it'll be all that crap, and then it won't happen. It's the same stuff all the time. But I don't see why we focus on Inter Milan so much. And I'm not being funny. You see all them sources saying this, that, and the other. Who in their right mind watches Emerson Royal and think, yeah, I want him in my club? Who does that? And Sanchez.
We did it
as well. Yeah.
We did it.
Yeah.
Well, exactly. So no one's that stupid again, are they? Surely.
Emerson Royal. If you go to Transfer Market and you search by players worldwide by valuation, the right back spot, Emerson Royal is the 7th most highly valued according to Transfer Market right wing back or right back in the world.
Not because of what his quality is. He's shit. Yeah, no one's going to want him in their team.
What's even more worrying, Pete, is that we've got a manager. We won't go there just yet. We've got a manager that plays him religiously, which is a worry.
Yeah. I can't see Conte go.
We won't go down that route yet. I mean, look, Pete, as Luan says, he says, I don't see big and expensive defenders like Bastoni, Skriniar, De Vrij, etc. coming to Spurs in January. What about Joachim Anderson from Palace? Now, this is a bloke that I think is very, very good. You were on the WhatsApp group with me all that time ago when, he had a great year at Fulham and he was going for, was it something like 17 million or something like that from Lyon to Palace? Has he got a point? Is it about time we started looking at players like that with a bit of Premiership pedigree rather than these kind of Hollywood names that fans want?
All day long. I mean, you know me, I prefer Premier League proven players any day of the week. If you ask me, my first choice would always be ideally someone who's playing in the league, especially at the centre back because they're used to it. I mean, I think we're trying to jump the gap. We're trying to jump by going from Dyer and Davis to Bastoni and De Vrij is too much. You've got to have a middle ground. There's got to be an evolution there. I've said this before. We can't just go from there to there. We don't do that. We're Tottenham. We don't go and buy £80 million centre backs. Bear in mind, you need 2 of them. It's not going to happen. So you're going to have to go sort of mid-range, but better. So it's easy to get better than what we've got. It's just how far we want to go up the range. You know what I mean? Players like Nathan Ake, we can get him out of City would be ideal, in my opinion. Walking our side tomorrow. Do you know what I mean? Anderson's another one. Guehi's another one. There's plenty of players out there. I'd rather have James Tarkowski than Eric Dyer, to be honest, and he was available for free.
Yeah. I mean, Kuva, let me bring you in here. I mean, again, if we look back to this window that's just gone, lots of Spurs fans turned their noses up at centre-backs that were available. Ben Mee went on a free. James Tarkowski, who I think has been, every time I watch him for Everton, he looks excellent. And he actually looks like he loves defending. You know what I mean? It's not all sexy and exciting, but he likes to defend. You've got Kim Min-jae who went. You've got Sven Botman who went. Akanji who went. Not one of these players went for over 40 million. Is it a worry then? Is there a disconnect here between Paratici's ability to find these players and what Conte wants, or is Paratici just not able to find these players at all? Because other clubs are doing it. Other clubs, Newcastle, Botman, great signing. Why can't we do that?
I think it's probably a case of Paratici's got to spread the budget too thin. So we are looking at these bargain players at the moment. Basuma was a great deal, for example. If he had been priced, say, 40, 50 million, I don't think we would have gone in for him.
I agree.
There are players about. I mean, add to the Premiership experience ones. I think the new boy at Leicester, Wout Faz, I think is having a terrific season. He's
Quality
really
player.
fitting well. Look, reminds me so much of Romero. Fearless one as well. You could do a double swoop on Leicester if you want. I mean, Wayne Holland won't like hearing that, but I'd love to get him. I'd love to get him and Castagna at the right back as well, because he's come back from a really serious injury and he looks fearless, and he's an attacking sort of player. We need these sorts of types. But you talk of the Stefan de Vrij and players like that getting on a bit, so relatively modest outlay on them. They are there, and Ndicka isn't going to be that much. It's not like he's at the peak of his game playing for a massive European club at the moment.
And his contract's up in the summer. He's a free transfer in the summer. No, we're talking about Ndicka from Frankfurt.
Oh, Ndicka, yeah, he's great. He's fantastic. Centre half. Yeah. Again, I did a whole review on him with Kuva in the summer, didn't we, Kuv? As part of that review.
We did.
Yeah.
Then we got that bollocks that you like.
Yeah. Hey, I like Longley. He's all right.
No, Longley's done all right. He's steady enough, I think. Longley.
I just think, Kuva, are we at the stage now where, look, every transfer window, I hear so many excuses from fans that I can't keep track with what they want. Right? There's just excuse after excuse as to why we don't actually buy what we need. Since Conte's been here, now listen, we can have the debate later about who buys the players, whose choices they are.
Sorry, just one second. Sorry, hang on.
Unbelievable. Did he just cut me off midstream?
Unbelievable. He realised he hadn't quite finished his chips. He's got a couple of chips left.
But look, Sean, I'll bring you in there. Kuva can wait his turn again. Look, we'll have the debate a later time about who buys the players, whose choice. Does Conte sign them off? Does Conte want them? Yada, yada, yada. But he's been here now and overseen 10 first-team signings, in whichever way you look at it. And the centre-backs have not been addressed. Right? They've simply not been addressed, Sean. And my worry is, if we don't address it again this window, does that tell us where we are as a club, i.e. that there is no plan in place? Because we can't go 3 windows under Conte, whose system relies on good centre-backs that build up from the back and not buy good centre-backs that build from the back, can we?
Well, look, I mean, my expectation is that we are going to do business. I think everybody in the fan base can't be wrong, right? That, like, obviously, right. You know, Conte prefers Emerson Royale. No one wants it, but it's his choice at the end of the day. And, you know, we've got to trust in him or don't, whatever. But that's his decision right now. When it comes to the centre-backs, you've heard Conte say he thinks that, you know, that Eric Dyer could be one of the best in the world, and he praises Ben Davies. I haven't got a problem with Ben Davies, by the way. I think Ben Davies has put in a good shift this season. I think he put in a really good shift last season as well. So I don't put him in the same kind of category as Eric Dyer and like a Sanchez. I think that those two are kind of definitely need to be improved on. Ben Davies, I'm happy for him to hang around as a squad player. If we don't get somebody in the January window, then it will be a real head scratcher. There's loads of players out there. You've mentioned half a dozen of them already. I also like Badiashile. Benoit Badiashile, I think, is a really good player, a young player as well. I don't mind that Tapsoba fella from Leverkusen. I think he's really cool and he's very young. And I even like that Robin Lenormand, whatever his name is, from Real Sociedad. I think is a really good player as well. So there's definitely, and I think one or two of them are out of contract at the end of the year. There's definitely options. Tottenham surely can't get gazumped on all 8 of them. Right? Surely 1 or 2 will become available, and Tottenham are a draw for most of those clubs. It's different if Inter Milan players like Skriniar don't want to look at Tottenham and think that's a place I want to be. Maybe they prefer to go to Newcastle. Maybe they prefer to go to United, whatever else. But players that are coming from other clubs like Crystal Palace, in the example you gave, or from Sociedad, or from Frankfurt, surely they're looking at Tottenham as a step up. Surely they're looking at working under Conte as an intriguing part of their career. So I don't understand. If it doesn't happen, you definitely have to ask questions for the umpteenth time of either Paratici or Levy or Conte. If all three of them are happy with the centre-backs that we have, then either they're wrong or every single fan in the fan base is wrong. And I think that, I don't think that will be the case. So I'm expecting us to get at least one centre-back in.
Thing is, Conte can't be a draw if he's not going to be there. Yeah. So there needs to be some commitment on that. If he's going to be this so-called draw that we keep hearing about, players want to come play for him, the agent is probably going to say, how long's he here for? Is he staying? Is the contract? What's going on there?
Yeah. Let's talk about that then, Pete. I mean, this is the chicken and egg. We talked about this before. We're coming up to chicken and eggs phase, right? It's everyone's telling me Conte's not going to sign a contract until there's proof of him being backed, which gives us 4 weeks in January, right? But again, if you were a top player, lads, if you are, let's just go to the extreme. If you are Skriniar and Bastoni, they're the two I think everyone wants. If you're Skriniar and Bastoni, isn't the first question from their agent going to be, why hasn't Conte signed a new contract?
Yeah.
So what gives in first here? Who makes the first move? Is it going to be Levy to say, well, okay, if I buy I'm just using this as an example before everyone says to me it's a pipe dream. I'm going to get a Bastoni because no matter if Conte's here or not, he's a top defender. Or is it going to be Conte going, oh, okay, I'll sign the contract and hope that Daniel Levy backs me? Aren't we just in an impossible situation, Pete, with this?
I think maybe Levy's a bit more on the driving seat, because where does Conte go after Spurs? He's not going to. I don't think the elite clubs will touch him. He's very short term. He'll just further enforce that if he's gone within 18 months of being at Spurs. So it's not really investable from a manager, from a thing, unless you've got to go to a club that's got like a PSG it doesn't matter. But clubs that have to be a bit more strategic in what they do are not going to go, oh yeah, we get Conte in, because full well it could all unravel very quickly with him. Goes towards that Prem, always going to want this, that, and the other, and they're not in a position to deliver it. So, for me, I think Conte's got to go first. I think he's the one that needs it. He wants the contract. Then let's see if it's even offered. We don't know yet. There might not be nothing on the table. Levy might think, I don't want him anymore. Yeah, no one knows. But something's got to happen before the window for Levy to then go hand out money, or they're just going to buy players that Conte might want or might not want, thinking of, or he'll do with them, and then the next manager will do with them. So it won't be Conte's players, and then we have all that again. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think the worry, just quickly, so Mikhail said Mourinho had a long-term contract. I see what you're getting at, but the difference is that as things stand, Mikhail, Conte's contract runs out in the summer. So this is a little bit different. The whole point is that we're meant to now have this world-class manager that every fan loves for some reason. And sorry, that's harsh. Not for some reason. Everyone loves him because they think he's going to do what he did at Chelsea and Milan for us. But at the same time, players are surely going to look and say, hang on, you've not committed. I mean, Kuva, is this game... could this window really be the end of Antonio Conte, i.e. we do not sign the calibre he needs and he walks at the end of the season? Are we there? I know lots of people don't want to believe it, but it's creeping up, right? It's creeping up quick.
My feeling is he will see out his contract, but I think he'll make up his decision on after the January window. He'll have a really good idea of how ambitious we're going to be. He'll see this as a club that if it's got ambition, we'll go for it. We'll start getting in the sort of caliber needed. But myself and so many of us see this club being run like an ambitious retail outlet with a sort of organic advertising suite on the grass. I just don't see it happening. The only way you can do it, I mean, Conte can't sign a contract if it's not there, can he? It's got to come from the club first. They've got to just slap one on the table, sign it, or don't. Simple as that. If he doesn't sign it, then perhaps there's some negotiation to be had. If he doesn't sign it for the reasons we're thinking, he doesn't see any sign that he's going to get anywhere with the sort of players he's been dealt with. I don't know where to go from there. I think we're just free fall, Ryan Mason in, and see what happens.
Yeah. Sorry, go on. Sorry.
No, go, Sean. Go.
I was just going to say, like, I don't understand what it is that Conte is looking for. Like, there needs to be, I guess, there doesn't need to be some discussion about this in the open air, like, because otherwise you're giving away all the cards, I guess. And the club are probably having these conversations. But what is it that Conte wants to see? And if he wants to see us go and sign the tip-top players, but one of the stumbling blocks to signing tip-top players is Conte not committing to the club.
Yeah.
Then Daniel Levy would have to say, surely, like, I can't do what you want unless you commit. It's a catch-22, bro. Like,
yeah,
and then do you have three conversations at once? The same. Bastoni would say, just for argument's sake, Bastoni would say, yeah, I'll come if Conte stays. And then Conte says, oh, okay, then, but I'm not going to sign until you've signed Bastoni. How do you square that circle?
There we go. Do it. Do exactly that then.
Okay.
But I mean,
fair enough.
If we look then at track records, right? So you could look at track records of, and I'll caveat all of this. You know, I love a caveat that Conte is a serial winning league title manager. He's done it at 3 different clubs. Right now, this can be argued either way. This can be argued that he's gone into clubs where they have got what is in place to win titles. Right, a couple of tweaks here or there, he can win titles with Juve, with Inter Milan, and with Chelsea. So the caveat to that is very different at Spurs. Very different having to go into a club that has not won a title since 1960s. Right, since 1961, to all of a sudden win a title. But at the same time, he has got that pedigree. Now, if we look at track records of the chairman, you would say, okay, has the chairman got that track record of backing managers? And is that playing on the mind of Conte? I'm just trying to look at it from both sides here. What do you reckon?
Thing is, do we want players who want to sign for Conte? Do we want players who want to sign for Spurs? Because that's the difference.
There we go.
I'm not interested in players who just here for Conte, because then even when he goes, what happens then? Do they all just start shit?
And you sign players on 5-6 year contracts if they're young enough. The chances are that each one of those contracts you're going to see 2 or 3 managers in that period, aren't you?
Yeah, so that's
like Ndombele.
Yeah.
I mean,
like
we signed Nuno. Who was it? Nuno he signed Nuno. He didn't sign for Nuno, did he? He signed for Tottenham. So I want players that want to play for Spurs, not play for Conte. I couldn't give a toss about that. They want to come play for the club. The club's always first.
Yeah. I mean.
That's why I'm so against signing that Pau Torres from Spain. I feel like he's someone who turned us down twice for the opposite reasons. The first year he turned us down because we were in the Europa League and not in the Champions League. And the second year when we got into the Champions League, he turned us down and was interested more in going to Manchester United, who weren't in the Champions League. They were in the Europa League. So he basically just doesn't fancy Tottenham. Yeah. And to me, like I completely agree with what Pete's saying. I want to sign players who are delighted by the opportunity to play for Tottenham. And that's one of the reasons why I'm excited about if that Ruslan Malinovsky guy comes in. Not only do I think he's a talented player with a thunderbolt of a left foot, but the fact that he wants to come, the fact that to him, this is a dream come true, that to me is the sort of player that you want. You want to play around the dressing room who wakes up every morning like excited by the fact that he's playing for Tottenham, not players that are looking for their next like stepping stone up the ladder, or that are worried about what the man, I don't want to be at Tottenham unless the manager's going to be here.
But if we also now factor into this, which we keep talking about which players will join if Conte has not signed a contract, etc. Pete's made the valid point of, well, hang on, players are signing for Tottenham Hotspur, not just for Conte FC. But can we also attach that to our current crop of players, guys? What I keep hearing is if Conte doesn't sign, there's no way that Kane stays here. But he has stayed here. He stayed here through a lot. He stayed here through a hell of a lot. And, is it just as simple as if Conte doesn't sign, this club completely crumbles and Kane goes as well? Because I've heard that this club's going to completely go into rapid freefall many times before. We're still here. Right? Yeah. We've not gone anywhere. We're still here. You know, we've still competed in Champions League football in the last decade a lot. Is this all going to be Kuva? If Conte doesn't sign, this is the end of our club. I'm hearing fans saying I'm never going to go. What if Conte goes? I heard it on Tottenham away. 2 or 3 of their presenters. I am not going if Conte leaves this club because it will be the end of us. Is it that drastic?
Nah, times come and go, always do.
Right.
You just have to think, 5, 6 years ago, prime posh years, everybody was bloody happy. It just goes like this. So it just feels at the moment that we've gone through so many managers. People are just saying, what is the plan here? If we don't stick with somebody, there's no real anything to build on anymore. I think the biggest reason for that is we saw Nuno come in. What a shower of shit that was.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody can tolerate going through that sort of scenario again. 70 odd days with no manager, and then somebody so underwhelming that you gave up before he'd even played a game, sort of thing. It comes down to these longer term sort of views on what the club should be doing, as conversations we've had over and over, isn't it? I don't think it's the end of the road if he goes. But we're going to have to certainly change direction. We can't just keep doing what we're currently doing.
No, of course. I mean, with that in mind, then, Sean, I'm just throwing this out there before everyone has a go at me about Conte. With that in mind, if we do have to finally put into place a plan where it's a long-term plan, it's not just about a short-term manager in terms of Mourinho or Conte or Nuno. Would we then be more beneficial I'm just asking a question, don't you? Not having a Conte and actually having a manager that wants to stick around for 5, 6, 7 years and that doesn't need one type of player to make it work? Because what I keep hearing is every player you mention, I mean, even look in the chat, you mention Hincapi, you mention Undercart, Anderson, Tarkat. Apparently no one's good. No one's good. They're not Conte-type players. Have we pigeonholed ourselves, Sean, that we are now only after a select group that are Conte-style footballers?
Well, I don't know what that means. Like, does it just mean players that play in a back three? Because I definitely understand. Like, there is like I've said this 1,000 times on my channel. Like, it's different for forwards and central midfielders, forwards, and wing forwards, attackers, whatever. Like, it's like those guys can play in a 4-3-3, a 3-5-2, whatever. Because being a striker is a striker. Maybe there's individual specific player responsibilities or roles, but there is a major difference between being a centre back who plays on the left or the right of a 4 and someone who plays on the left or the right or the centre of a 3. Like the responsibilities are different. And so if when people say he's not a Conte player, they mean that the player that we're looking at is untested playing in a back 3, then I get it. But I still think that certain players, especially young ones, are probably like there's maybe a little bit of risk if you're buying someone like a De Vrij who does play in the middle of a back 3. Then you know that he's going to come in and that role, the only thing he's got to really adapt to is Tottenham because he's already played for Conte, but he's also got to adapt to the Premier League, but he doesn't have to learn a new role. Whereas somebody, who's playing in a back 4, who's then being asked to play in a back 3, and it's got more responsibilities, more need to go forward, more need to drive with the ball to progress, all of those things. If that's not part of his game right now because he plays in a back 4 for a team that has different players around him that control that side of the game with more aplomb, then there's definitely a risk there. But I don't know what Conte style of player. I'm assuming that's what they mean by that.
Well, I mean,
tell me what it means.
John, if you mention, whichever midfielders you mention, I hear, I'd love Maddison. Oh, he's not a Conte type player. I'd love this player.
That's because of the formation, right? Though, because Maddison plays in a 10, and Conte wants to play 3-4-3, right?
Yeah.
I suppose you can have the argument as well that just because he used to play with the likes of Bastoni, does that mean he is the profile of the player that he wants, or is it just that's what the sort of player he had at the time, and he was fitting the style of play to that player? I mean, if you make that sort of assumption that is a profile of the player, then you could say, well, with central defenders, he wants a certain type on the left side or right side that will progress with the ball, actually carry it forward with them. And it want one in the middle that's the out-and-out stopper that's the last man back at all times.
Yeah.
And then you'll have the more sort of aggressive, very, very more chance taking sort of one on the right hand side. So if you did that, you could say Conte has certain types of players, but it might just be coincidence that those are the traits of the players he's worked with in the past. Not all players are exactly the same, are they?
Definitely not.
Just quickly before we're going to answer this interesting question in a minute. Before we do, I've got a couple of super chats. So first of all, Kafkov Gaming, thank you very much. I said and shouted at it, who the hell would want to sign for Tottenham? Shake my head. Apparently,
wow, I would.
I'd do it for a couple of grand a week.
Loads of money for doing nothing.
Yeah.
And Crocodox, thank you very much. He has said, if Conte goes and we lose Paul, we should be able to fall back on our academy. Unfortunately, our academy is producing nothing. Well, again, this brings up the situation, guys, and thank you for the super chats. And please smash the like button. There's nearly 204 of you in here and only 38 likes, which is shocking. Come on, get the likes in. Guys, when we look at this super chat here, it's worrying, isn't it? Not just the fact that no one's coming through our youth team, but I almost feel like whichever manager comes in next, if Conte was to go, I'm not saying he's going. This is a hypothetical world. If he was to go, we're kind of not set up to play any type of way. You know, we don't have attacking flair to play free-flowing football. We don't have solid defenders to play counter-attacking Antonio Conte football. We don't have young players to bring in that we can blood. It's a bit of a mishmash, right?
We can play comedy football. What's wrong with that?
Comedy football.
If Conte's intentions are to quit, then for me, I'd much rather, like I said 2 weeks ago when I was on, I'd much rather he got out of the way now, because I feel like you need one more transition of this flip-flop kind of philosophy that we don't really have, that we jump from one style to the other. I want to see one final jump to another manager. And if Pochettino would be an example, I don't necessarily think he should be the man, but just as an example, go to someone like him who does like to play aggressive attacking football with a back four. And then once you've got that person in, whoever it is, go and spend the money on starting the rebuild around that system, not the system where you're going to go and drop money on a central centre-back of a 3 who might not necessarily play well in a back 4, or a right wing-back rather than a right-back, because there's massive differences between those two as well, in my opinion. But once you make that transition to the next manager, from that point on, then you draw the line in the sand and say every single manager that you have from now on is whoever's going to come in, even if it means you have to take a step down and don't get the big name, but you get somebody else who's either young and up and coming or whatever else, but they follow the same philosophy as front foot football. Because one of the major problems that Tottenham have had is keep chopping and changing the manager, the style, and the formation, and then you're always left with horses for courses and round pegs for square holes, or square pegs for round holes. And that, for me, needs to stop. But I don't want to stop it right now. I don't want the next managerial cab off the rank to play similar football to Conte. Mm-hmm. So you do one more flip-flop, one more change to the more aggressive stuff. And after that, you then keep that system in place forevermore.
I agree. And just before we come to Luan's question, Pete, I mean, this is the thing for me. I want to talk about Conte a little bit here, right? And we talk a lot about players and about him getting backed and whatever it may be. But I just want to get hypothetical before anyone shouts at me. I'm just asking the questions here. Are the fans putting so much emphasis on a guy that has never done what he's been asked to do at Tottenham? As I said earlier, he's never done this before. The same way Jose had kind of done it at Porto, but Conte's never gone to a club like Tottenham that haven't won a league for donkey's years, never been close to winning a title. Don't talk to me about the last year. We finished like 12 points behind, and suddenly we all think, oh my God, if we just back him with 2 or 3 players, we will win a league. Are we putting too much faith in a guy that's not done it before?
Yeah, easily. And we're putting too much faith in a guy who, let's be honest, currently and even last season for a lot of time is serving up some dire football. Some absolutely shocking football. For me, I've nailed my colours to Mars before. I'd make the change. He's not going to extend his contract and sign. I'd do it now and start that road. Just exactly what Sean just said. I'd go down that road. For me, a lot of our fans, they're like a cult with Conte. It's bizarre. Like, it's all following him off a cliff if he walked off. Do you know what I mean? So, I don't understand where this comes from. Also, on this cultish behaviour towards managers, players. Same with Son. If you say something about Son, that's it. You'll get slaughtered. It's bizarre behaviour.
Pete, I mean, another way to look at it is the excuses I hear when Conte loses, etc., and the belief that goes into Conte. So many managers before him never had this belief given to them by fans, apart from Poch during that era. Why is Conte so different in that respect that fans seem to kind of have this cult-like feeling towards him, even though what we're seeing is as crap as so many of the managers in the past that we've seen?
I can't work it. When you consider Mourinho had a 10 times the CV Conte does, he never got this adulation because he was seen as like a pantomime villain sort of thing. Like Donald Trump of football, wasn't he? Basically, like it's fashionable to hate him and slag him off, even though you don't even know why you're saying what you're saying. So I can't work it out. I don't think it's justified what I've seen so far, and his refusal to commit says it all. Really, I just think, why are fans so loyal to him? What? Oh yeah, we got top four. We scraped top four because Arsenal bottled it. Let's not have it. Let's have it right. It was very close to being the other way. If they had drawn that Newcastle game, all would have been different. Do you know what I mean? So it was on Arsenal reason we got top four, not us. We were just there to take advantage. So as soon as that, I just don't know. I don't know. I cannot work it out because I see it all the time, and I think if they're like carrying on like this, there's a geezer who walks on water or something.
So okay, let me move on from that slightly, Kuva, but actually it's not moving on, it's keeping in line. So Monsieur Vatti has said this, and I love this type of comment. It's very angry. He said, if we go for a rebuild, which is the complete wrong word, there's no rebuild. We're not rebuilding from anything. We've not been successful to rebuild from it. That's what a rebuild is. Man United, a team that used to win leagues and Champions Leagues. We've never been there. So he said, if we go for a rebuild, I hope you all shut up for 5 years if we don't win a trophy in that time. The way I see it is we let Conte go or he walks and we are back to bitching. But Kuva, doesn't this come back to the point that I don't understand? I don't see, even with Conte there, that this so-called trophy I don't see it coming. I don't understand this. Well, if Conte goes, we won't win a trophy. Why do people think we're going to win one with him here? I just need to understand that. What am I missing that others are seeing?
Good luck then. No, I think the obsession with Conte at the moment, first thing was his passion, wasn't it? As soon as we got the first goal under his regime, he was jumping up and down on the sideline, going mental. Fans took to him immediately. He's one of us sort of attitude. And then you look at his CV, he has won things. We've seen it just a little way away from us at certain dislikable club. So he has got form, and we know he can do it. But I think, from my point of view, I just think it's clutching at straws. We're assuming because it's happened at other clubs that it will definitely happen here.
Right.
And I don't see it. I'm not with this chairman, not with the ambition level we've got. I think the only chance we've got is playing some half decent football and building with youngsters and the cheap signings that we have been doing. What's really letting us down at the moment is we do not have the academy really producing much. There's so few players coming through it. Kane, Skip's not even fully come through as we hoped he would so far. The rest of them seem to just disappear away from the club for minimal fees and do all right somewhere else. But for us, it's pretty disastrous. I think I'd much prefer to see. I'm gonna really make Greg Spurs Day and say I'd love to see a Pochettino back here. But the only reason I want him back is because we are going to destroy what we're currently doing and build from grassroots upwards. Get a really young team in. This would even involve selling Kane and Sonny. You'd have to start with young players. You can't expect them to do the insane high level of pressing that Pochettino needs. It's a drastic step. I don't think we're prepared to do it. I think Levy's always going to look to stick plasters onto the outside of the hull and hope we keep afloat.
I mean, Sean, let me move this to you. And look, again, everyone in the chat, listen, I'm just bringing up topics, okay? It's not necessarily everything I believe. Some of the things I'm saying I believe, some of them I don't. It's my job as a host, right? Sean, lots of people are reacting to my comments here about Conte and going, oh, what are you talking about? He got you fourth. Like fourth. I know for the kids, fourth is this amazing measure of brilliance. As Pete said earlier, all right, he got us fourth, but in a league where we were up, our biggest rivals for fourth was an Arsenal team that didn't have a centre forward. So for me, I don't feel like this is any amazing feat that's happened. I don't see that fourth is a benchmark for anything other than making the owners more money, if I'm really, really honest, because we never go and buy on top of that. But can you, off the back of the question I asked the other two, can you understand this? Why does Conte get this belief that other managers in the last 10, 15 years before him have never had when they've been in similar positions? And why is there this belief that if he goes, we'll never win a trophy, but if he stays, we're winning a trophy? Because I think we're miles off winning a trophy. This is a guy
he's not a cup manager either, is he? Like the easiest part, the path of least resistance to a trophy is not the league. It's the Carabao Cup or the FA Cup, and he's not a cup manager, he's a league manager. No, I don't think he's going to win anything. And this is my point. I see Ishak Taraftar, who he's always on the wind up with me, and a big up Ishak. I hope you're okay. I know you hate me. But for me, he's saying Tottenham, Sean would rather our club play nice football than winning trophies. That's not my point. My point is there's no guarantee that we're going to win a trophy playing shit football. People have this imagination where they go, because we never won playing sexy football, playing shit football must therefore equal trophies. No.
Take a bow.
There's no guarantee we're going to win a trophy.
Take a bow, John. Sean, this is what you get, though, isn't it? All you ever hear.
No, I know it's madness. It's causation correlation. It's like saying for me, it's absolute insanity to think that just because we're playing shit football under a manager that has some level of success in the past, that we're gonna previous performance equals future performance. It's absolute nonsense. I'd rather us play nice, watchable football because I have to watch my team play twice a week. Even and you get to lift the trophy if you do for 5 minutes at the end of the season. I don't want to watch my team play shit football twice a week on the off chance that maybe we win a trophy, but there's no guarantee. And in all likelihood, we're not going to win a trophy this season or next season. So for me, playing shit football is not a justification. It's not the juice isn't worth the squeeze. The ends don't justify the means. That's my take on it.
For me, I'll take that argument even further. When people say we don't win anything playing pretty football, it's the only times we've had periods of sustained success at this club. Super Spurs of the 60s, 80s team. We had Glenn Hoddle in the team. Crooks and Archibald up front. Brilliant stuff. Why this obsession? Even back in the 51 team, when we first won the league, we were the push and run side. We revolutionised the game in this country. The modern day game is still based on that Spurs side.
The last time we won the FA Cup?
91. Gascoigne, Lineker.
Who was our star player in the 1991 season?
Well, Gaza, isn't it?
So can someone please tell me, all these people that tell me we got more chance of winning playing this type of football than nice football. It doesn't always have to be one or the other. It doesn't have to be the most sexy tick-attack of football you've ever seen. But when did we last win a trophy playing really, really bad football? Because what I've just witnessed, I've just watched Conte get knocked out. I say Conte because he's got knocked out to a Nottingham Forest B team, in what was our best chance of winning a cup.
Yeah.
Right? But yet fans tell me...
Oh, it's only the Carabao Cup. Don't worry about it. It's only the Carabao Cup. What do you mean?
So which one is it, Sean? Do you know what I mean? This manager is going to win us a trophy. So what they're actually saying is, because this is a guy who's never won a European trophy. So what they're actually saying is this guy is going to win us a league title because he's never won a European trophy. He gets beaten easily like he did by the Forest B team the other day. But yet but yet everyone still keeps. There's this belief that just give him 2 or 3 players, he's winning us something. I don't get it. I don't understand where this optimism is coming from. We beat Leeds, and it's, oh my God, you're in the mud, you're in the mud, you're in the mud. We lose to Forest. It's not his fault. It's the players.
Yeah.
What? It's not his fault that he got beaten by that Nottingham Forest 11 with our best 11 out there.
Yeah, when we win, it's Conte's brilliant. When we lose, it's blame Levy. Like, come on, you can't have it both ways. You can't have your cake and eat it. It's one or the other.
You know how much I don't like Levy, Sean.
I know, but it's just not the consistency of the argument. Like either, yeah, you can't. If you want to say blame Levy, then you when we win, if it's Levy's fault when we lose, it's Levy's credit when we win. I don't think like there's an allocation of blame. There's no consistency. It can't be Levy's fault when we lose, but suddenly Levy gets it. Like Levy doesn't get any credit when we win, and Conte gets all the credit when we win, but none of the criticism when we lose. Like there's no consistency there at all. There's always a slice of blame or a slice of credit to the players, to the fans, to the chairman, to the manager, to the coaches, to the scouts. There's always a slice of whether it's blame or credit, whichever one you're dishing out. Everyone gets a slice, not one or the other. It drives me up the wall.
Sorry,
I agree. Pete, just quickly, I'm going to come to you, Pete. Just quickly before I do, I was going to say, this is the sort of comment, right, where I don't think people listen. So, Wonderboy, I'm not suggesting there is a manager out there that comes in and wins things with these players. I don't think that's ever been said. I've never once said, get rid of Conte, bring in, I'm just using any manager, bring in Emery. I don't know why I've gone all Henry right there. Sorry, Henry, if you're watching, I know you love Emery. Bring him in, he wins a trophy. My point is that I don't think any manager's winning a trophy with these players. But at the same time, I just keep hearing it's like Conte's this special chosen one that has done something that other managers in the past have never done at football clubs. I don't understand. I'll be honest, I don't get the hype around Antonio Conte. I love his passion. Yeah, I love his passion when he's winning. When we're losing, it's a lot of toys being thrown out the pram, blah, 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 blah. Pete, I don't get it. Sorry, I must be missing something. I don't get the lure with this man. He's got nice suits.
That makes 2 of us. Like I said, as Sean touched on, he's a manager that primarily goes for leagues. He doesn't win cups.
Right.
Very, very rare. And let's be honest, the club are not interested in cups. They're interested in leagues, Champions Leagues, whatever brings in the revenue. Yeah. So as we've seen before, if this team was on at a semi-final of the fucking League Cup and a big game that was for Champions League qualification, the semi-final get binned off. We saw it. This is a club who sacked a manager on a week before a cup final, who is probably the one manager if you said you had one off game, who would you put in charge to win that cup game, that cup final? 99% of people pick Jose because he's the one who can do anything on that for that 90 minutes. He put in a plan in place to win a trophy. Conte doesn't do that. The club don't do that. The club will just say, right, revenue is top. And if Conte was given the choice, right, you can win the FA Cup and you'll get 80 million, or you can get in the top 4 and you'll get 100 million. Where is he going? He's going for the top 4 every time. Fuck the cup. He's getting binned off. But this obsession that he's going to deliver tons of bags of trophies, I don't see where it's coming from. We had the manager that does do that, and everyone hated him and couldn't wait to get rid of him.
This is what I don't get.
He's been top of the league and everything when he was here. Mourinho, he's the man who bags every trophy he normally lays his eyes on and has won every one of them. And yet he got treated like shit, and fans couldn't wait to get him out the door. It's a bizarre obsession, and I don't see what it is. I don't know if it's desperation. People think you get the whole lot. It's the last chance saloon sort of thing. I don't buy that because many managers
at some point, whether it's in 6 days, 6 months, or 6 years, at some point, Conte will have managed his last game for Tottenham. Harry Kane will have kicked his last ball. So will Sonny. Levy will have signed his last check, right? And as long as we're still above ground, we'll all still be Tottenham Hotspur fans. There will be a period after post Conte, and Tottenham will still be fine. Tottenham will still be here. So get on board. Get on board this notion that Conte is not the be all.
I remember 16 years old. I remember watching Glenn Hoddle play his last game for the club. I was in tears. It was the end of the world. Then along comes Gaza. It's fine.
When I was at 11 and Kings were fucked off after 1 year. It's like, fuck it now. I mean, and and Bale went. These things happen. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think it's an age thing with some of this as well. I think a lot of the people I'm seeing in the chat who I know are older. So no offense, Dave Clark, you just said you've been following Spurs since the '60s, and you agreed with Kuva's point that the majority of Spurs teams throughout the last 50, 60 years that have won trophies have played good football. But again, the younger people are not listening. So Greg Spur, your mate Greg Spur, Kuva, is brilliant. Look, he doesn't get it. We're not saying that any manager comes in and wins trophies playing this way. What the question we're asking is, why is there this belief that there's this God-given belief?
I think he's being sarcastic to the Conte fanboys, to be honest.
No,
I think he's saying because he's Poch in it. He'd happy to have Poch back. I think he's one.
He hates Poch.
He hates Poch. No, he hates Poch. He hates Poch. He hates Poch. But the key thing is this for me, right? First of all, I think as with anything, and I think this is how Sean and my relationship has probably formed and got closer over time. It's that meeting point in the middle, Sean, right? Where I'm here, you're there, but there's always something over here where we can both kind of align. And there's a lot of people in the comments that straight away see you're saying, who is this magical manager that comes in and plays sexy football? No one's mentioned sex. No one said there's a manager going to come in and have us playing magical football. I'm just asking the question to you guys in the chat. Why is Conte getting the backing that Jose never got? Why is Conte getting the backing that Yol never got, Redknapp never got? I never saw people going this mad about those managers that did play.
I love Harry Redknapp. He was awesome. He was such a great manager. And you know what? He'll never get thought of as elite because he never got the chance to manage an elite football club. Everyone talks about like Pep Guardiola. Pep Guardiola, if you took Pep Guardiola right now and put him in an Aston Villa team and managed Aston Villa, would Pep Guardiola make Aston Villa champions? Or Brighton? Or Southampton? Or Tottenham? I don't know, right? Harry Redknapp was I think a brilliant man manager. I thought he was pretty decent with his tactics and he got us playing super, super exciting, fun to watch football. And had it been a better time, had he been the manager now in his 50s with the amount of money we have now, the stadium, all that stuff, I think that maybe he could have gone on to be a more successful manager than he was. I don't think he ever won a trophy, did he? Because he never managed.
Personally, I think Pep could go to a lesser club and turn them into winners.
I do.
Really?
Because his scouting is magnificent. But yeah, Sean, I get your point. But it's things like this, right? This is what gets me. So, Sire, I've seen a lot of your comments. First and foremost, I keep hearing that Conte is putting pressure on Levy, but in the biggest window, what was meant to be the biggest window we've ever had, I didn't see that pressure being put on Levy. I didn't see that. What I saw was a lot of Conte coming out and saying, I'm happy with the direction the club's going in, right? Second of all, you're talking about Juventus win the league, right? Juventus who have won the league how many times in the last 20 years in Italy? Chelsea. How many times has Chelsea won the league in the last 20 years in England? Inter, same. We're Tottenham Hotspur.
Yeah. We're not that level.
We're not these clubs. So the same way I could sit here and go, I really want Pep Guardiola. But even if Pep Guardiola came in, he's going to have to come in. It's going to take time. But I don't believe Conte's that man, guys. I don't believe Conte is this man that I can't see what he's trying to do either. I'm so confused by...
For me, Savva, it's the lack of flexibility. Like I think a tip-top manager you go through, like the game changes. But when was it in the 90s that 4-4-2 was the typical formation? Everyone played 4-4-2, right? It was standard. And then suddenly someone brought in the 3 in the midfield thing, and it kind of changed things. And then the emergence of wing backs, then the emergence of the wing forward role. All these different things go through their cycles. No one plays 4-4-2 today because you get eaten alive. To me, I think I get the feeling that the next breed of manager that's going to come in, the guys that are 35, 36 now that are leaving football, that want to go into management, those guys are going to be dynamic. They're going to be flexible. They're going to have 4 or 5 different systems that they can transition into. And one of the frustrations that I have with Conte is the lack of flexibility, the lack of ideas, the lack of willingness to go to a different system. And I think that is a little bit archaic. That's not to say that if Conte was to leave Tottenham, that he's past it, that he doesn't go on and have... I know he's still a fantastic manager, but I just think that it's a sign of the times, I think, that you need to be dynamic and have different ideas and be able to play.
Let me ask you this.
I'll just touch on that. I'll make you right there, Sean, what you said. Because when Guardiola went to City, He played a different way to what they play now because he had to realise the team had to evolve and he had to evolve with it to get to where they want to get to. With Conte, he's already started with the end in mind. This is what I want to play, and we're doing that, but we ain't got the players to do it. So by the time we do get the players, I think the players that have been there all this time will get pissed off playing that way anyway, and it'll be like, you might be new to this, but we've had this for 3 years now. We're bored of this shit, and it will all come up, and plus it'll be rumbled by then anyway by the rest of the league.
But let me ask you boys this, right? And listen, I'm not one suggesting we've got this amazing squad and we should be playing this super duper sexy football, but I seem to remember Harry Redknapp picking up a team that were bottom of the league with 2 points from 8 games. And he, with a couple of clever signings, i.e., I think it was Wilson Palacios and Jermaine Defoe.
Yeah.
Two signings that wouldn't have cost a lot, got us right up the league from 20th to 8th, and then the season after got 4th. Yeah. Playing good football. Now, back then, we didn't have top defenders either. So why do manager... I truly believe if he was still around now at that era, he would do something similar with the squad we've got now. So why is there this kind of belief that there is nothing Conte can do with this group of players? There's nothing we can do at all. This is as bad as it gets. We're going to concede first every game, and that's all on the players. Why, when other managers have had worse players than Conte has had? Kuva, you want to go?
Except for I was miles away.
He had Steve Malbrook, Andy Reid, Martin Fulop, Fraser Campbell, Darren Bent, Robbie King, Tom Huddlestone.
Fraser Campbell, what a deadline day signing that was.
This is what I mean.
Palmed off for a minute for Berbatov.
Lewis Saha, Michael Brown. These players that we had then, and yet we finished 4th. Like he pulled a rabbit out of the hat. He really did.
They're a man.
Kabul was right back. Remember that? Yunus Kabul.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
The City game.
It's management style. Sometimes if you have got this sort of
and it was 4-4-2
mismatch of players, some great players and some really crap players, you just need a great manager with give them a bit of confidence to get as much as you can out of each player. Sometimes you have to abandon a certain system of playing or certain formations and just realise that some of the players are not good enough. You just
flexibility.
Play on your strengths. Yeah, flexibility, absolutely. Redknapp, great at that. He didn't have his tactics were pretty bad at times. Probably cost him a lot of games, but he did get the best out of those attacking players, and we did well for it, and we were good to watch. So I'm all for some of that.
You'd love to play for it as well, wouldn't you? He was like an arm round you, like give you a little squeeze when things are going bad, like have a laugh with you. Like he never. I think he had that level of respect. Because you saw that when David Bentley tried to put the bucket of water over him and he never played for Tottenham again. Right? I think that's the truth, right? You know, when we got to the Champions League live on air. But he had that level of respect. But I think he kind of crossed that or never really crossed the line between accessibility as a manager and familiarity. Like players would never get overly familiar like he was your mate, but you could go and have a conversation with him. He's the sort of manager that I would like to work for. I'd like to play for if I was a football player.
It was a bit like Fergie. The coaches worked with the team. He picked the team based on what the coaches were saying and what he saw. He weren't. I mean, apparently he weren't at the training ground that much. But he.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Because the coaches were there. He had his team with Kevin Bond. Yeah. Who was the one with the glasses? Joe Jordan.
Joe Jordan.
He ran the team for him, coached the team, and then he just go, right, who's playing well, who's doing what, and he'd watch from a distance. A bit like Fergie. Fergie was never really involved in the nitty-gritty.
But guys, this is the thing for me, right? And I'm going to come to this super chat in a minute. This is a left field super chat, but this is the thing for me. I've always said I'm not expecting mind-blowing football, but this notion that nothing can be tried and that these players are dreadful. Other than Emerson Royal, I've seen a lot worse centre-backs at this club than Dyer and Davis, right? I've seen a lot worse players than Perisic at left wing-back. I've seen a lot worse midfielders than we've got, a lot worse strikers than we've got. But yet we're led to believe that there is no style we can play, which doesn't mean we concede a goal first every game. And I use that Redknapp era because for me, people talk about Poch being our best manager in the last however many years. For me, I look at what Redknapp did when he came to this club, a club that had never made Champions League before, took us from bottom of the table and in 18 or 19 months got us from bottom to finish 8th and then 4th. Now that was playing good football and put, as Kuva said, put in, or Sean, you might have said, put in an arm around players. Go and play. I feel that the Conte style is actually so complex from a point of view of it relies on people being so switched on for 90 minutes to do their individual little jobs. It relies so much on us not having the ball that we actually put so much pressure on our own players that when the mistakes creep in, I think, well, that's common sense. We're going to have all these. I've never seen us have this many mistakes before. I don't know about you guys. I can't think of an era where there were this many mistakes game in, game out as we're seeing now.
I think a lot of it is because we're playing so much of the game in our own half. With Pochettino era, the idea was play in the opponent's half, keep the high press on. So if you make a mistake there, it's not the end of the world. More often than not, you get away with it. But this sort of football we're playing, we're dropping so deep so often. One mistake there, it's usually ends up in a goal or at least a shot on goal. I think that's why in some respects you could say it's Dyer a little bit unlucky to be playing in this system where it's always highlighted. One of his mistakes always gets punished. Why would you put him in that sort of position when you know he's not good enough?
Agree. Just quickly, let me do the super chat quickly and then we'll come back to that. Azad, thank you so much for the super chat. Hope you're well, my friend. I said thoughts on Andrew Tate wanting to buy Spurs. Really? I mean, I can't see that he'd ever raise the capital. I can't see that he'd be interested.
No chance.
And I feel that would be.
Our social media game would be on point, though. The shithousery would be absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, I'm not sure about Andrew Tate as a person, but thank you.
Who would he humour it? Who would we get as a manager if he took over?
Him, Andrew Tate would be
manager, wouldn't it?
Donald Trump, something like that.
Yeah, but so this is the thing. Look, and again, I always wonder why would, for example, it would be like Ten Hag setting up his team to constantly defend high balls, knowing that he's got Martinez at centre half.
Yeah.
Right? You know Eric Dyer isn't great on the ball. Right? You know he's not.
Yeah.
So why on earth play a style of football where most of the ball is played in our half and a lot of the ball is played around the back? Mistakes are going to happen. Surely you play as much as you can away from your own goal. And at least then if you mess up, if you lose the ball, they've still got the rest of the pitch to come before a mistake happens. I just see that as common sense, but
I don't think that. I think that Eric Dyer. Look, I personally think that we all want. I know we all want to improve the back line, but for me, I do think that at the moment we are looking at the back line and thinking it's disastrous because Eric Dyer has made 4 or 5 like catastrophic, uncharacteristic mistakes. Like it's okay to sometimes when it's positional naivete is exposed. That's one thing which he should be better at. But things where he puts a head up and it lobs off the top of his head and it flops up in the air to Salah and stuff. Those sorts of things are highlighted, but they're not. I don't think they're part of the course for him.
Wrong there, mate. I think I remember him under Mourinho. Mourinho put him in the back line. He was fucking awful, mistake after mistake after mistake. He has got.
Well, how's he got into the England team? Like he's in England he's playing for England at the World Cup.
It's because there's a lack of options, really. A lot of players are injured. I can't say any of the 26-man squad. I don't think he's like this season. I think has been uncharacteristically weak from him, but on average, I think he's better than. Like last season, he was above average for his level. This season, I think he's been below average. But listen, going to a back four. To get back to your point, Savva, of like, why don't we play the ball more expansively? If we went to a back four at the moment, I don't think that would work either. I think we'd get torn apart a little bit too frequently.
But the thing is, Sean, we don't. But the thing is, like Kuva said earlier, the problem is we don't try it. I keep hearing a lot of what would happen if we did X, Y, and Z. But what we're doing is week in, week out, we're seeing what happens when we do Plan A. But we never try Plan B or Plan C. It's just constantly. Well, Plan B and Plan C would never work. How do we know?
Yeah.
And just quickly, Mikhail, no one said play a high line. I never once said play a high line. There's just more.
extreme with these fans? Why is everything an extreme? You got to play shit football and win, or you got to play good football and you won't win. If you don't want to play back defense all Sunday, that means you got to play a high line. It's always one or the other.
We were better against Leeds, though.
Yeah.
Sorry, go on, Cliff. Sorry, mate.
It's madness.
Oh, yeah, I was just going to say, if you can't defend, it doesn't matter if you're playing a high line or a low block.
Yeah, if you can't defend, you can't defend.
Scored.
To me, though, the game against Leeds, because I was on this show on the previous Sunday, and then we saw the game against. I don't think I've been here because I wasn't here last Sunday, so I don't think I was here to talk about that particular game. But for me, that was the sort of football that I wanted to see. When I was doing the watch along with Dave and Jack on the Irish Hotspur, when we were going down 1-0, I was like, it's okay. I'm enjoying the game, and I can see that there's angles here. We're making mistakes, but there's a way back into it. You go 2-1 down. Like, to me, we didn't play with a high line, but we certainly weren't playing the ball on the edge of the 18-yard box. We were playing a bit further out. And to me, I want to see more of that sort of football. Obviously, not every game you want to be a 4-3 thriller, but for me, I think that Tottenham in that particular game did play more like the way I want Conte to play football. But still again, was a 3-5 or a 3-4-3. Sorry,
but for me, Sean, I kind of agree with that. But for me, it was still too much. We only wanted to do that once we conceded a goal. It was never like we don't ever go and play. We don't ever go and play like that to start a game. You know, all of a sudden, Bentancur, once he's let off the leash, Bentancur suddenly goes and has a huge influence on games. But to start a game, I see him sitting deep. I see him not pressing. I see him looking like a very average midfielder. Then second halves of games, you go, hang on, where's that bloke been? And that can only be for me under the manager's stewardship. Just quickly, Noah, I don't know if I've ever disagreed with a comment more than this. Dyer has the notion that Eric Dyer's been class ever is baffling.
It was good last season, though. It was above his level last season.
Yeah, well, that's a low level. It's not. That's not is it?
Sean, I said this on my daily thought earlier. The difference is Eric Dyer's bar's down here because he goes to there. People go, "Oh, he's good." He wasn't. He was just a little bit better than how crap he'd been before. He still can't head a ball. He still dives in. He still turns his body every time someone tries to shoot. But these same fans that will tell you that Eric Dyer's been class and Davies has been class under Conte are the same ones telling you that we can't play good football because we're bad at the back. I don't understand which one it is. Guys, just quickly, we got away from the centre back topic there. Is there any chance we bring in a right wing back this window and we see any of our 3 right wing backs go out, whether it be Spence on loan or Doherty and Royal sold?
I don't see it happening.
No,
I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind that Vanderson from Monaco. I think I know we're linked with Pedro Porro. I don't know if there's any truth to the Porro thing, but Porro's a class player. I think Vanderson is also really exciting at Monaco. And look, if there's any truth to the noise that Inter Milan and Juventus were both looking at Emerson Royale, there's very few talented right wing backs out there that are not settled at clubs that you could probably go after unless you're taking more risk. And Emerson Royale was obviously a risk that hasn't figured itself out. He's not good enough anyway, and then he's got such low confidence at the moment that he balloons balls over the bar from 4 yards out, etc. But
I don't think that's confidence. That's just technique.
But if you're flying high on confidence, then your relative low level of technical ability can at least be maximised. But he is someone that's technically very poor and also very.
Last the other week, he was trying to know the passes. He can't be that low in confidence. He thinks he's the ball. He's fat. Yeah, he's the shit. Yeah. He's a dog with a chasing the balloon. He is too Bob.
Yeah,
just back to old conversations here, isn't it? Talking about available right wing backs at the moment. I believe Leicester now have 3 pretty decent ones on their books.
But a Tottenham fan's going to be happy going and signing Castagna.
No, it's irrelevant what we want, isn't it? It's just
Royal, mate.
I'd happy to take anyone. Yeah,
you take James Justin, would you?
Idiot.
Yeah.
I'd take anyone.
Kyle Walker-Peters, I'd happily have him back. There's
Well,
one
for
at
the next
Sevilla.
for the
I
next
think his
four for
name-
the next 4 years, you want Kyle Walker-Peters for the next 4 years.
Yeah, I think he's a good player. Yeah, he's getting better all the time.
I don't know. It doesn't excite me. That's
I'd
not. He's
rather
not.
get
He's
him
not a
in the-
champions. He's
No,
not a
it's
champions.
not. It's not exciting, but he'll be affordable, and he's got Premiership
Just quickly,
experience.
this is what we have in our fan base. People that truly believe Emerson Royal is better than Doherty. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think both are useless. Let me just put that out there right now. I just don't think I've ever seen a player embarrass himself week in, week out as much as Emerson Royal does. No look passes, ballooning the ball in over the stadium, cross-field passes that go to nobody, coming out and telling us that he spent £1 million to make himself better. I don't understand what we watch. I don't get it. For me, I just listen.
Yeah,
I don't
Doherty's dog shit and Emerson's dog shit. Like, can we just agree that they're both of them are like it's pick your poison, isn't it? With those two, you know.
yeah, true, but I know I'd rather have week in, week
Tell you
out.
what, I tell you how you sum it up, right? Doherty is a turd. Emerson is a runs. Yeah, that's the fucking. That's how you
Yeah. And Jed Spence, we don't know, do we? We just don't know what he's like. You know. I hope if he gets loaned out, then I don't know what to make of that. You know. Then you absolutely whether you're Conte in, Conte out, whether you're somewhere in between. Everybody. Yeah, but if you're Conte's absolute most staunchest defender, and there's a couple of people in here that I think probably are in the comments, like you must be sitting there scratching your head saying, why does Conte, if he's infallible, then are you okay with him choosing Emerson every week? Because he hasn't given Jed Spence a chance, right? He's given him 20 minutes against Nottingham Forest with a B team when we were already 2-0 down. Like, if he's infallible, explain the Emerson commitment and loyalty.
This is it, isn't it? This is the. How can you justify it?
Yeah,
I've got another right wing back target as well. I was trying to remember his name. Chap from Sevilla is Gonzalo Montiel, I think his name is.
Oh, Montiel, yeah, good player.
He's quick, can pass the ball, intelligent, really attacking.
Kuva, the thing is, we can look at names all we want, right? And I think the key thing to remember is we're not paid to scout, right? All I know is that whenever I watch Champions League games, Europa League games, there are players all over the pitch that I'm going, oh, he can play. Oh, he looks good. And then I watch Royal and Sessegnon and the likes and go, hang on, how have we done this? You know, so the big thing for me is all these people are telling me that Conte's got this. He's got this, the fear factor into Levy. You know, he's putting pressure on him. Well, where was that in the summer? How did Conte allow the season to start with those as his centre backs and those as his right wing backs? That's what I can't see.
He likes Emerson. Like I feel like
I agree.
We're all sitting there going, he's tolerating Emerson, but I actually think he genuinely likes Emerson.
I agree.
You know, on computer games like Football Manager, you got it like a crisis mode or something like that, and you're just trying to challenge yourself. It's like Conte has to put him in to make the game more difficult for himself.
Well, he does that with Sessegnon. You don't need to do it twice.
Conte system, no wing backs.
Sessegnon is laughing because it takes the light off how shit he is, because he is equally shit.
Sessegnon is fucking useless. The only thing that Sessegnon's got is a bit of a cross on him. His crossing is slightly better than the right hand side options. But he's so scared all the time, isn't he?
But for me, guys, this is why, again, I'll bring this back full circle. Spurs play a wing-back formation when the wing-backs aren't very good. It baffles me how the whole point of a wing-back formation is that you rely on 3 top defenders and 2 top wing-backs. We don't have either of those ingredients at the club, but still want to cook that dish. That, for me, is where I look at the manager and go, okay, you haven't got what you want yet. Try something else then. Try something else so you can turn around to the chairman and go, look, I've tried this. I've not got what I want. I would rather see Ben Davies at left back, Romero and Longley at centre half, and any one of them, and Spence at right back. Why not? Why not? What have we got to lose at this stage? We've got nothing to lose.
Say that again. You'd like to go to back 4 and do what?
I said I would rather see. I'm not talking about as indefinitely, but with the players we've got at the moment, I'd rather just go with a steady Eddie Davis at left back, Longley and Romero at centre half, and Spence at right back, and at least go, okay, well, now there's no excuse of having the donkeys of Dyer, Sanchez, Sessegnon, Royal, Tanganga. They're not in the 11.
Yeah.
But when you pick the same thing every time, people are going, it's not him, it's the players. Well, he's
are you saying 4-3-3 though?
I don't care. After that, I don't care. Just get more players on the pitch at the other end where we are strong. We've got 3 very good central midfielders: Benton, Basuma, and Højbjerg. Get them in. We've got 3 very good forwards: Kane, Son, Kulusevski.
Play them. Yeah. Play your
4,
best 11.
3. If you've got that 3 in the middle and that 3 up top, yeah. Or you can even say to 2 of those 3 centre mids, sit back, dig in, protect the back 2. I don't know. Try anything, but playing wing backs with Royal and then fans using the excuse, oh, well, he's
I think
not really
the problem is that you couldn't play Perisic at left back, and I think he's so vital at the moment because of his assist contributions. Like there's always like, regardless of how bad we play, when we go 1-0 down, 2-0 down, there's always a goal coming from somewhere from a set piece with him. So until we get to a position where we're playing better football, I don't know if you can avoid not having him on the pitch.
Play him in the front 3 then. I don't know, something different.
You can play the better football. You might not have to rely on set pieces, so you might not be a need for him that much.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is there's options, right? You could try something. If he did all this over the course of the season, as a fan, this is, again, purely for me. I'm only talking as Richard Savva, right? As a fan, I could turn around and go, you know what? Fair play to the bloke. You know what? He tried the wing backs. He tried 4-3-3. He tried 4-4-2. He tried 4-2-3-1. Nothing worked. But all I'm seeing each week, guys, is the same players in the same formation and then being told nothing else would work. But this isn't working.
This is the reason I'm more anti-Conte than most, because of that lack of flexibility and lack of any will to try anything different and deliver the same crap. That's why I'm the position I'm in. If he tried things, I'd be a lot more kind towards him. But the fact that he's not, and I don't think he's going to either, which is why I say just pull the plug now.
I don't think they will. I mean, I don't think they will pull the plug. I feel this is going to need for him to walk out, because we know Levy's not going to back him.
Exactly. But the whole contract thing is, are we going to spend money, or is Thingy just buying the players, Paratici or whatever, or whoever comes in, just to fit a club profile rather than a manager profile? I don't know.
So far I'm seeing no real difference between Paratici and Baldini all them years back.
No,
it's like being given 100 million and trying to stretch it out to get 6 or 7 players in. It's just, you're not going to get quality, are you? You're lucky if some of them turn out to be good. I mean, Baldini did it. We had Ericsson that was good out of that magnificent 7 that came in.
Chadley was all right.
Chadders was all right, yeah.
Yeah, Chadley did okay. I mean, but this is the key thing for me, guys. Look, already, even under Paratici, we've had 15 signings since Paratici's joined this football club. And the 3 that have been the biggest success are the 3 he knew from his days at Juventus, right? So is this going to be the only time we make good signings under Paratici is going to be when he's going back to Juve and taking players he knows? Hence the links now with Weston McKennie, right? Again, look at the players we've been solidly linked with, right, for January. Malinowski in a position of the pitch where we've actually got a lot of talent. Weston McKennie, where we've got 3 centre mids, sometimes only 2 of them get to play. And is he that dissimilar from the others?
No, yeah.
I don't know what we're doing.
Weston McKennie's one to avoid, in my opinion. I think he's average anyway, to be honest.
But again, for me, Sean, I look at it and go, if we bought in Malinowski and McKennie, you watch how many of the fan base go, 2 players Conte definitely wanted. But it doesn't address any of the issues at this football club.
Yeah, of course.
I'm not against them as players per se, but how many central midfielders do you want?
100%. If the window finishes and we sign 2 players, but none of them are defenders, it's a failed window. 100%.
None of them start.
Yeah.
If we saw 2 more squad players, then what was the fucking point?
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. The only, like I said, the idea of going to a back 4 and then having 3 in midfield, if you could sign a Brozovic to make that one a little bit more interesting, I'd be all over that one. But I don't. But I think that the centre backs are obvious. But I think everyone, surely, like I said at the start, mate, like surely every single Tottenham fan agrees, and if every Tottenham fan agrees, surely Conte and Paratici have had the conversation that centre backs are the problem.
I agree, but I'll always come back to my original point: is that if this was the biggest thing, that we could all see it. We've all seen it for years. I mean, Pete, I go back. I've known Pete for, I suppose, longer than you guys. Pete, do you remember a couple of years back in that WhatsApp group where it turned around and everyone was talking about Romero, and it was before we'd signed him. It was, we're in talks. And I remember we turned around and said, we don't need 1 centre back. We need 2 as a bare minimum, possibly 3. And in that window, we had players like Anderson that went.
We don't have had a back 2 then.
And that was playing a back 2. We've now hired a manager that plays a back 3, right? Religiously plays a back 3. And yet in his first 2 windows, centre back has not been addressed. For love nor money.
Or wing back.
I cannot understand how this man has not come out and said something. I cannot understand how he said at the end of the window, I am happy. I like the direction. Why was it not?
And the quality was so low of what we needed to replace, they had to convert Ben Davies into a central defender.
Right. This is my point. But yet now we're hearing his top targets weren't available. I just wonder who they are. I'm very concerned where we're going as a club, even with Conte. I know there's a lot of people who love Conte. I know there are. And they have this magical faith in him that he's going to do well. But I need a manager that comes in and at least turn around and says, okay, if I'm going to have to sign 7 players a window, then I'm at least going to buy 7 players that play in the positions we need. I'm not, look what he did in the window, boys. And somebody, please disagree with me if you feel it. I'm looking at it and going, okay, you bought Perisic, who is clearly a stopgap for a Doji, right? You bought, you've bought in Richarlison at 60 million. And the reason I care about the money, Kuva, before you tell me off, the reason I care that it was 60 million is because we didn't then go and spend another 60 million on centre-backs. If we had bought Richarlison and 60 million centre-backs, I'm cool with that. But our budget went on a centre-forward that, let's be fair, has done nothing in a Spurs shirt. 2 headed goals against 10 men Marseille. So, again, I'm confused. How has Conte let it get to this? I'm throwing it on him. How has Conte let it get to this and telling people he's happy?
From my point of view, I think Conte is one of these managers that doesn't really get hands-on with signing players. I think he prefers to leave that to the director of football. Just get on with coaching what he's got. So, in that respect, I think he's maybe got some faith in Paratici. But Conte, but Levy's the unknown thing for him, isn't it? We don't know the dynamic between Levy and Paratici. Is there something going wrong there? Is that why we're not getting some deals over the line? Is it why Jed Spence arrives and then Conte saying, well, it's a club signing, it's clearly not one of his? Well, there's something wrong there. There's not it doesn't seem to be a sort of fluid. I
think the biggest problem, Coog, is and that's not defending Levy or Parrott, is the inability to sell players to Europe because of the financial situation. I think not getting players out, having to keep loaning them just until their contract value drops to a point where the club can actually afford them, is holding us back. So you see the money that gets spent in Europe is peanuts, isn't it? It's compared to Premier League, it's peanuts. So we can't. That's normally where we offload our shit.
But Pete, this is the thing for me. Then, if we had to offload these players to be able to bring players in, and the budget we spent is all we had because we couldn't offload more players, then why was a centre forward at 50, 60 million?
I don't know. I
don't get it. Why not buy a 10 million young striker from? Anyway, Why not go? Why not go and buy Ben Brereton Diaz from Blackburn, right, for 15 million, who had 1 year left on his contract? Yeah, get Ben Brereton Diaz in and then go, okay, the other 50 million is going on a top centre half. I can't understand, and I've got to address, first of all, Noah, you have to stop chucking everyone into the same thing here, right? So when it's, bro, you guys were celebrating when you finished above Arsenal. I mean, I wasn't celebrating. We should have finished above Arsenal. This is an Arsenal team that didn't have any forwards in their club. Of course, we should have finished above them, right? This is not when you say I'm Conte out. I'm not like Conte out. I'm just not really bothered by him. I don't think he's this great all-conquering manager that so many fans think he is. I think he's a very limited, one-dimensional manager that has to have top players to succeed. And like we've said time and time again, he's not getting that at Tottenham Hotspur. That's the thing for me. Just quickly, the other thing.
For me, the celebration wasn't about us getting top four. It was celebrating that they didn't.
I mean, I don't remember celebrating that much. I don't see.
It was just because it was funny because they were all over it about how they're getting top four.
Yeah, I agree.
That was funny.
More about them than us.
Greg, I'm going to try and explain this to you, but you just don't get it because you're so, I don't know. Listen, when you say it's about giving our manager time, like Arteta, all right, let me ask you, Greg. This is the thing. I asked you this earlier when you came into my YouTube chat and you couldn't answer it then. Right, let's see if you can answer it now. I'm live on stream. That's all well and good. But so far, as I said to you, you keep putting faith in this manager that he's going to get given what he wants. I'm a fan of 40 years who is of the opinion that no managers are being given what they want. And you've just witnessed in a summer window, we didn't address the right wing back. We didn't address creativity. We didn't address centre back. We barely addressed left wing back. So when you say give the manager the time, yeah, A, when has he ever done that at a club? And B, when has Levy ever done that with a manager? If you can answer those two things succinctly without using the word Pochettino, which I know that's your comeback to everything, is Pochettino, then we've got a conversation on our hands. Sean, talk to me about, look, I want to go to the World Cup in a little bit, but talk to me about, it seems like we put a lot of eggs in the Richarlison basket in terms of that was our marquee signing from a price perspective. That was the big signing, right?
Yeah, shit show.
And do you understand it? Do you see why they did it?
No.
Was it needed?
No.
Has it worked? I know it still could, but talk to me about this because I don't get it.
I was never okay with this transfer. I said at the time, I thought we were at like a 7 out of 10 for the window at that particular point. And then when we signed Richarlison, I dropped it down to like a 6 or 5.5. I'd never liked the player. He's never scored more than 10 goals in the Premier League. 60 million quid or 55 million quid. It's essentially our record signing, give or take a couple of million. And just like all of our big money signings over the last, 5 years, they all end up being massive disappointments. Ndombele, Sanchez, Lo Celso, and now Richarlison. Add that to the list. I said it would be. I know, obviously, it's still too early, so I might be crowing too soon. But I personally don't think he'll score more than like 5 goals for us this season. He might score 7 in all competitions, but 5 in the league, and that is not a return on investment that is acceptable at that price point. We shouldn't have got him. We should have gone after one of the other boys that were available at the time. I even said at the time 100 times, like I would have rather spent 10 million quid and got Emmanuel Dennis because he scored more goals from open play than in a worse team than Richarlison did. And then you go and take that 45 million quid that you saved and go and put that into a better right wing back or put it into a better centre back or whatever. Obviously, but I'm not saying that I'm not going to say I'm not playing Monday morning quarterback because I thought that at the time and I still think it now. He wasn't what we needed, and I don't think he'll be a superstar for Tottenham. I think he'll be another average player, a flop, if I'm honest. Yeah.
I mean, Pete, talk to me about Richarlison then. I mean, you've got Saya, who, I mean, this is a lovely. this you should be president, because the spin on this is phenomenal. So the spin on Richarlison is Richie scored 2 goals versus 10 men Marseille. But when Starboy, Kane and Son, I don't know how we can talk badly of Kane and Son. They've kept this club going for 7 or 8 years. When they struggled versus 10 men, if Richie not score, we not qualify for the knockout stage. I mean, Pete, this is the thing, right? Are expectations that low at this club now that, you know, he can score in one game out of what he's played, 12 or 13, and fans think that this is a good player? Would you have taken him? Talk to me.
No, I didn't want him at the start. I said as much. I think me and you did quite a few shows in pre-season and said the same thing, especially when Jesus was going for less. You think, well, you buy Brazil, you buy that one. But there was other areas in the team that needed strengthening, needed that money more than that. I think there was a period where we were clamoring for him to start with Son's form, and rightly so. But he got the chance. He started a few games, and he hasn't really delivered. So, and to be honest, everything we thought could happen when we buy him has happened. His work rate is there. His quality is not, and that's the. That is
good character, but not a good. He overcomplicates everything, Pete. You know, like he's always trying to like backheel something or flick it between his legs.
Yeah, he's not good enough to do that.
Simple.
Right, Everton, when one of them might come off, but that's Everton. Yeah, but this is not a prolific goal scorer. He runs around a lot, but that's it. But we need more. When you look at what Jesus does for less, he's not really been prolific this season, but the effect he's had on that team, and the way he can play across the line a bit more freely than Richarlison does. I don't buy this. Richarlison can play across the line bollocks.
I don't either. I think he's poor.
Every time we've seen him, he's looked poor, and that's not his fault. But do you know what I mean? It is what it is. Against Arsenal, we had times when he was in a box to do.
But look at this. Where does this come from?
It's not
class. Richarlison is class. Form is temporary. Class is permanent.
Yeah, well, he's temporary. It's a long temporary period he's going through. He's not scored more than 10 goals.
But this is the thing. You get like Faz. I'm going to come to a comment you made for me just now because I feel I need to, and then I'll come into Kuva. Faz, you said, Savva, you are guessing based on last as opposed to facts. You have to wait and see if it will be the case before you judge Conte. If by this, I think you're talking about whether he'll be backed. I'm not guessing. I'm going by history. Right. And if 20 years, 22 years, 40 odd windows is my barometer, then it's not really a guess, is it? It's kind of like, I mean, it is a guess, but it's an educated guess. It's based on what we know. The problem is, as all of you people in the chat, not all of you, but all of the ones that are doing this in the chat that keep telling me Conte's a winner. Conte did this at Juve, into Chelsea. Not at Spurs. We are not those clubs. That's not how we operate. Stop assuming, Faz, that we are just going to spend all the money. We've just witnessed, right, Kuva? This was meant to be the promised window, and we've just witnessed that it wasn't. So why are we still having these debates? Because next year the same thing will happen. We will be pouring windows again, and then next year it will be Rome wasn't built in a day. Give him 4 years. I don't understand what has to happen.
Endless cycle, isn't it? That's what we're always doing. Yeah, I agree. If you want to predict the future, you just got to look at the past. It's the only indicators you got. Otherwise, it's just a shot in the dark. We have never really put the boat out. It's always operating well within our means. Keeps the club, stable and everything. But you're not going to win anything doing it like this. We don't go one way or another. We neither invest in the youth and bring through our own players, or invest in the top quality players from other clubs. We're doing a sort of halfway thing. Occasionally get out a gem from one of our transfers. Occasionally there'll be somebody comes through the youth team, but it's not very often, is it? Skip and Kane are the only ones of real note in recent years. Why do we keep getting excited about these transfer windows? We know it's going to go pear-shaped. It's always going to be underwhelming. I can only think in Levy's reign, well, I suppose there's one transfer window I was really happy with, and that's when we got Hugo Lloris, Moussa Dembele, and Yang Vertonghen. Other than that, there's been way more terrible windows.
Did we get those 3 players in one window, did we?
Yeah. Great window, that one.
Yeah, nice.
And yet somebody was telling me this summer that
going to be.
yes, somebody actually said to me this summer that it's the best transfer window we've had in our lifetimes.
Mate, embarrassing.
I just thought it must be about 12.
But the thing is, that's what people, Kuva, that's what people like Faz in the chat. Faz, I'm going to use you. You know I always do. This is the thing. People like Faz were telling me in the summer that this was the best window. He's been backed, blah, blah, blah. Now, all of a sudden, and I'll bring you to this comment, right? Conte has not always said he needed 2 to 3 transfer windows. If you actually remember to the back of last year, Conte said he wasn't here for 4th. He's here to win things. He's happy with that transfer window. The moment the transfer window didn't materialise like he wanted, all of a sudden we lose a few games and it's, I need 2 to 3 more windows. Does anyone on this panel truly believe that given 2 to 3 more windows under this ownership, 2 to 3 more windows like the one we've just seen in the summer, that Conte's going to win a league title with Tottenham Hotspur?
I can link this one in with the situation with Kane for me, because both of them have basically said along the lines of the same thing. As long as the club is showing the ambition that is in line with their ambition, they're happy to stay. I've never seen anything to change my mind on that, both the player and the manager. So it is literally, as with all things, the ball is in Levy's court. It's up to ENIC. If they want to have a successful football club, put the money in. If they don't, for me,
results are out next week.
Sorry,
their financial report is for. I'm not sure if it's the half yearly or the full yearly.
You need the box of tissues, mate.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to reading through that one.
Ben, please don't just sound like everyone over on that other channel. Please, listen. As always, there's, we're blaming Levy and Lewis for lots, but there has to come a point when, this manager gets away with so much that any other manager before him would never have got away with, Ben. So when we're blaming Levy and Lewis, what are we blaming them for? Are we blaming them for the absolutely dog shit football we watch every week? Are we blaming them for getting knocked out to Nottingham Forest? Are we? I mean, this is the thing. Of course, I hate Ben. I hate ENIC and I hate Levy, and I would like them to leave. But there's still enough at this club for us to not be doing what we're doing every weekend, in my humble opinion.
I just also quickly say, when people say that that nothing happened in the summer, and I say, we spent 155 million, and they go, well, add that up, and I include the money for Romero.
Mm-hmm.
People always go, oh, come on, you can't include Romero in it. Like, well, you have to pay for him at some point. Like, just because he's not a new signing, because we signed him on loan last season, like at some point we're going to have to pay for Kulusevski. And it's another 50 million quid that's going to have to come out of our transfer kitty, right? And people are going to go, oh, that doesn't count. That doesn't count. But the money just get like materialized out of thin air. Like, you have to factor it in.
The trouble is, I hear people taking credit for, saying Paratici takes credit for it when he signs at the time.
Yeah, and
then the next window, and then when we pay for him taking credit for it again. It's like,
yeah, sure.
It this way, he's 3 times the bloody director of football he is.
All right, but all I'm saying, okay, you can take credit for it once, but you have to pay for it. So I always think people go, no, it's a loan deal. That means we don't have to pay for it ever. No, it's a 5-year, like there's no cost. No, that's not how it works.
So let's look at this another way then, Sean. If we have just indeed spent 160 million in the summer, right? And if we did spend however much we spent in the January transfer window, why is no fault at all attributed to Conte for the way we play, if indeed he spent close to 200 million pounds?
He's had 200 million quid spent on him under Conte, yeah. And we've raised about 40 million quid in total for the sale of Cameron Carter's-Vickers and the Dutch fella, Steven Bergwijn, right? So net's about 160, but about 200 million quid has been spent nominal. Yeah, that's a lot of money to be spent in under a year, right? And there's hopefully another 100 million to be spent in January. That is a lot of money. At some point, I think there's no chance for 100 million quid, Pete?
No chance, mate. No. The summer spend will be lucky, let alone the January spend. No.
Come on, we know, guys.
I don't know. I've got my bollocks crossed on that one.
In January. We know what's happening in January. I'm looking at Malinovsky. And does anyone know Weston McKennie? How long has he got left on his contract? Anyone know?
Weston McKennie. I can lift
I've just got this feeling whoever comes in this window is going to be two players that are going to be very, very cheap. Yeah, i.e., coming to the end of their contract.
2025, his contract's up.
Okay, I mean, I don't see in any way, shape, or form, right, that we go big this January. I just can't. I want to be.
Really?
I'll say it again. I want to be sitting here, Sean, at the end of January, going, do you know what? God, I was completely wrong, wasn't I, lads? We've just signed 2 top centre halves and a right wing back. But I think we know that it's not happening, don't we? I mean,
Mate, but just can I just show you something quickly? Let me share my screen. Right.
I'll bet Sean will score that they don't.
Yeah, get it, mate. Share your screen.
Look at these. Can you see it? I don't know if you can see it or not. The contract players. Is it zoomed in?
Yeah.
Let me get rid of that. Let me make it a bit bigger. Oh, look at these players that are all out of contract in the summer. So you got Skriniar, Rashford. I'm sure he'll sign another one. Messi, obviously not.
Hey, stop! You're getting Messi.
Yuri Tillemans, Benzema, Jorginho, Zaha, Diogo Dalot, Ndicka, Trossard.
Good player.
Lamar, Kante, Thuram, Kamada. We were after him, weren't we, as well, potentially? Mukoku, Firmino, Luke Shaw, Conrad Lima. Really good player, Lima is. Gundogan, Ronaldo, Cruz, Memphis Depay. And he goes on. There's loads of players on. There's five pages of this. There's enough talent on that page. And on this page here, Fred, Grimaldi, you won't get Keita. He's awesome. Awar, how do you say his name? He's the Bilbao player. He's the Bilbao centre back. I don't mind him, Inigo Martinez.
Yeah, I think I agree with what you're saying there. There is so much of it, but we won't go anywhere near that list.
That's the cheap. That's where the that's where the bargains are.
Yeah, Jefferson Lerma, that probably we get him. Adama Traore, there you go. There's another one. Yeah.
Would you not like Adama Traore?
That is for me. I disagree, Pete. For me, I reckon that is completely Spurs' shopping list.
Yeah, but about the 5th page in, it won't be the first page.
Let's have a look who's on the next page.
But you don't think we're going to sign Lionel Messi?
The last page. I don't know.
Jesse Lingard, he's available again.
Yeah. Hasn't Kane got a contract like he has to match? He has to be the top earner at all times. Yeah, so if we sign Messi, 600 grand a week, Kane on 600 as well.
Didn't you want Stefan Singo, Kuva, in the summer?
Yeah, good player.
Yeah,
he's 20, 21. He's out of contract. I better get him for 10
As I said before, we'll end up with Wan-Bissaka on loan.
Yeah,
and Maguire.
Yeah,
Maguire. Yeah.
Would you take Luka Modric back for a season?
All day, every day. All day, every day.
What a player.
Yeah.
Not Tom Davis. We're going to buy him. We help Everton out again.
Just imagine Modric and Messi for a season.
He is what our fans keep telling me Bentancur is, apparently. I mean, Bentancur's had a few good games against crap teams, and we highlight him as a worldie, but give me Modric all day, every day.
There's some really good players on this list.
There are. I mean, there's some good players there.
I wonder who we're getting, though.
Yeah, that's the problem, isn't it?
Cool, have you got a filter for shit?
Yeah.
Cheap shit. Yeah.
Just quickly, Dunkelsdorp, when you're saying I've said I know nothing will happen in Jan, does that statement not sound wrong?
Yeah, there you go.
No, I think Dunkelsdorp, it all depends on how you want to take my
wording.
By when I say we know nothing will happen, what I mean by that is we know nothing of significance will happen in January. So last January, yes, Paratici went back to his former club, took 2 players that weren't wanted. How long can that go on for? I need to see him go and do this with players that he doesn't know per se, and then we're talking. I think this year, we'll probably end up getting like a McKennie and a Malinowski in this window. It will paper over cracks because we're already stacked in midfield and going forward. And I don't think it will address it won't address the wing backs or the centre backs. So no, I don't think it does sound wrong. I do worry how many fans know our history, guys. That is one thing I would say. I feel like when I'm talking about what we've done as a club before, fans just seem to go, no, that's wrong. But it's there. It's factual, Kuva. It happens every year, right?
Yeah, near enough every year. Like I said, that it's only one window I was really truly happy with since Levy took over. Yeah, you just have to look at it. It's silly to ignore the history of it. It's like saying world events can't happen again because it sounds crazy, but they have happened in recent past. Some mad stuff. You can't rule it out.
We've got idiots enough. Like James, no, I'm not slating Bentancur. My point is we're doing with Bentancur what we've done with every other player. We've got a player who's had a few good games against the lesser teams, and I started to see polls come out and YouTubers doing shows entitled "Is Bentancur world class?" No, we've got to stop doing that. You know, these players seem to do well against the lesser teams. If these players are that good, let's see them do it against Chelsea, Man City, Liverpool, Arsenal, Man United. That's the games where I want to see a Bentancur step up. I like Bentancur. I think he's a very good footballer. I think Bentancur should be allowed off his lease. Guys, let's just move this forward a little bit. I'm going to remove this if that's all right, Sean.
Yeah, done. Yeah, just having a look.
Yeah, look, so many top players. I mean, guys, I want to get some predictions from you. I'll start with you, Sean. It's August 2023, a new season starting. Is Antonio Conte the Spurs manager?
No, I don't think he will be. I think he'll be here until the summer, but I think he'll say no thanks and move on.
Okay, so you don't think he'll get kicked? You think he'll walk of his own accord?
He'll walk away. I think. Yeah.
Okay, so then following on from that, Sean, before I go to Pete and Kuva, if that does happen, is that then the moment when lots of fans turn on Levy and they go, enough is enough? We've had Conte, Poch, Jose, Yol, Redknapp, AVB. Or do we go back, get Pochettino, and half this fan base loses its mind and wets themselves again?
Well, that's what Levy will do. To me, like I'd say, yes, like a load of the fan base will go fucking typical Daniel Levy without knowing like what's happened there. Did Daniel Levy throw everything at it? Ask him to stay, and Conte says no, he wants to go home. Whatever. We won't know the details, but it will be blame Levy anyway. And then Levy, in order to try and get some fans back on side, will go and pay Pochettino, 10 million a year, 12 million a year, or whatever, and bring him back in, and then we'll be on the rinse repeat cycle. The same old shit.
I mean, I agree with you. I mean, Pete, August 2023, is Conte the manager?
No.
And is it from him walking or him getting sacked or?
It's a tough one actually, because I could potentially sit here and say January 2023 might not be the manager.
Do you reckon?
I think something's got to give. There's got to be that conversation has to happen sooner rather than later. You can't, especially with the January window. Who are we buying then? What are we buying for? Who are we buying for? It can't be. Well, I want 160 million spent on 2 centre backs, but I'm not going to be here in 6 months. Or I don't think. One thing we know with Levy, he's not a gambler. He wants assurances. Yeah. He's not going to take a chance. And I'll be honest. What we've seen so far. Would I want another 3 more years of this? No, because even when Conte gets these players per se, it's the football still not amazing. Let's be honest. It's not mean like all of a sudden we're going to change and everything's going to be great free-flowing football. It's not. It's going to be effective football probably. It won't be free-flowing. Do I want to see any more of it? I don't think I do. To be honest, that's where I am. We're not going to win anything under him. Let's have that right, yeah? Because it's not going to happen. Yeah, the teams we have to get past to win things are miles ahead of us, invest more than us, have a miles better team than us. We might be able to nick a beat Man City on the day on an odd game, but over a season, it's just not going to happen. And that's for the little cuts. We don't pay any attention to them, and nor does Conte.
I mean, Kuva, you on the same page? So Pete's going possibly January. Sean's saying the summer. I mean, Can you give any assurances? Is he going to be here the start of next season?
Oh yeah, he'll sign another 5-year contract and get 500 million quid. No, I'm with Sean. I think he's going to see out his contract, walk away with no blood on his hands. So he can just go into any job he really wants. Then at that point, we'll just be repeating what we always do, and Conte will move on and win things again. That's the way I see it happening. I just do not see us breaking these rigid sets of rules when it comes to transfers and contracts that Levy sets.
One thing I will add is if he doesn't sign and he's still here, before the end of his contract, Levy will sack him because Levy won't have it that he walked away. Yeah, but anyway, he will not have it.
But this is what I wanted to, off the back of this, guys. Let's look at Pete's theory here, and I suppose everyone's theory. Let's say we get to the end of January and we've not brought in those defenders he needs, right? And he's not being backed, whatever that word means now in football. Does he then see the season out and he's a hero if he gets top 4? Or does he take the plunge at that point? Does he then turn around and go, yeah, I've not been backed? Because this has been my point all along, lads. I don't see the point in him being here because he's not going to be backed. Right? So everyone can say I hate Conte. I don't hate Conte. I just don't think he fits our club at all. I don't think he fits the owners. I don't think he's going to be backed. So far I've been right. He hasn't been. So Sean, is there a danger then? Or will he see it to the end of the season? Is there any danger at all? He walks.
I don't know. Like, I don't know. He's so difficult to read because the things he says in the press are like one week they're one thing, and then 2 days later it sounds like something else. Like when he was saying about the fans booing at halftime, I don't know if it's his grasp on the English language, but it kind of sounded a little bit like a threat. Like, they need to stop doing that, or what, we'll see what happens at the end of the season. And then 2 days later he's saying, I can't. I really want to be here for for the entire project. And I'm like, well, which one is it, mate?
Yeah.
So I don't know. If I'm entirely honest, mate, it's a really difficult question to answer because I have no idea whether he's happy at Tottenham or not. It wouldn't surprise me if he did sign a new contract, but it also wouldn't surprise me if he walked. And that's like, he's so difficult to pin down with any consistent narrative that I don't know how he feels. So like I said before though, mate, if he does decide to fuck off, all right, see you later, mate. Don't let the door hit you on the way out, because he like every other manager, they'll be here today, gone tomorrow, and we'll still be a Tottenham fan, and no one's bigger than the club ever.
No, absolutely. I mean, here's the thing for me, right? When we're looking at Antonio Conte, which, I mean, Kuva, you said, I'm gonna put you on the spot here. You said that if he leaves us, he goes somewhere else and he wins trophies. I'm really interested to know where, because my theory at the beginning of this was, Conte, okay, manager is one thing. Why is he at Tottenham Hotspur? Because Jose was at Tottenham Hotspur because he was a dinosaur and he wasn't at the level he used to be. So why was Conte at Tottenham Hotspur, and which top club does he go to where he wins trophies? I'm just interested to know.
For me, he'll go back to Juventus.
Yeah.
He's an Italian. He'll want to go back to Italy. They bloody love it over there, as Ben Kaufman keeps telling me. So that for me, easy choice. Why? I think the reason I want him to see out the contract, though, is don't you always have the feeling that when we sack a manager, they have to sign a non-disclosure agreement to get their payoff? If Conte can walk out after seeing his contract out, he could say whatever he wants then, couldn't he?
They don't, do they? That's the thing. I mean, that NDA don't last forever, and no one comes out and says, fuck all. Danny Rose...
I think Hoddle started to say things, didn't he?
I was hoping Danny Rose would say something. Yeah, bear in mind, he's opened his trap when he was at the club, and I thought, I can't wait till he goes. He's going to lay it all out. Nothing.
Maybe there's nothing bad to say. Like maybe this idea that Daniel Levy is the devil is all in your head, and maybe he's actually not that bad of a guy.
I don't think so, based on the years. But it's like no one says nothing. But especially managers, they don't say what goes on.
But this, even if he goes, okay, guys, even if he goes to Juventus are not the all-conquering team they were.
It's a default, isn't it? The default position for him.
Right. So even if he goes to Juventus, what's the, again, this is going to sound really weird because, of course, Juventus are a massive club based on history. But in terms of the elite of European football, is he going anywhere? Let's be fair. Real Madrid fans would not stand for his style of football for 5 minutes. They'd have their white handkerchiefs out. So would Barcelona. These clubs would not tolerate this nonsense, free at the back, wing backs not having a lot of the football. They just wouldn't. No matter how many people love Conte, they wouldn't. Bayern Munich wouldn't. PSG wouldn't. Man United wouldn't. We've seen that. Where does he go if Juventus doesn't work out? This is the thing for me. I'm hearing he's a world-class manager. Where does he go?
Atletico Madrid
is the obvious one, right?
That's if they want to carry on with what they've got. They might decide after all these years.
Well, they loved what's his name, didn't they? They loved him.
They love him, but the football, they love the football. There's a difference. But he delivered stuff. He's delivered trophies against the odds. Do you know what I mean? Being in Champions League finals against the odds. So,
true.
Like I said, do they want a continuation out, or they're like, we've had enough of that now? We want to go. We want something. We don't know. I'm not.
No, I don't know either. I've got no idea. But I'd imagine that if there's any club out there that would,
that's his best match. Apart from really, to be honest, I think he'll just go through the Italian clubs. Yeah, and because let's be honest, some of them Italian managers have managed them clubs about 10 times. Yeah, it's just a cycle, isn't it? It just drops.
But it's an interesting point, right?
I agree. He ain't going to Barcelona. He ain't going to Real Madrid. Bayern Munich think are too pragmatic and long-term planning for someone to come in who they know typically around for the short term. PSG, the only one a man you can guarantee them the Champions League. That definitely ain't Conte. So I can't see where he goes.
This is the thing. Look, this is why I say I keep being told that this is the best manager we've ever had. Now, I'll let people off not remembering top managers that won us things, but this is the best manager we've had. It's the best manager we've had in the Premier. So I keep hearing. But yet, whenever I ask this question away from YouTube or with anyone, no one can tell me that any top club would want this man. Let's be fair. Take Chelsea out the mix. None of the world's elite teams have ever hired him. Now, this sounds harsh. I know what people are going to, Savva hates Conte. I'm just putting it out there. You look at Klopp. Yeah? Klopp's being hired by elite teams. If Pep leaves Man City tomorrow, every football club in the world is going to want Pep Guardiola, right?
Yeah, of course.
Ancelotti has managed the creme de la creme. Conte, I don't ever see him linked with anything other than Italian teams. That's why I think he's at Tottenham. That is why I'm going to go full circle here. That is why I don't have the buy-in, guys, that so many of our fans do, that this is the guy. He's going to come and fix everything. Just give him 200 million and he wins everything. I don't buy it. I don't think he's that good. I'm sorry. I genuinely don't.
I don't think so. And if that was to ever happen at the club, I don't think it'd be because one man's coming. I think the club will stumble across it by accident, like they nearly did with Poch. There wasn't a plan to deliver that. What we got, it was he stumbled across. He wasn't in first choice, was he? And things just happened. Because the only person you could really say could do that is probably a Guardiola. But is he ever going to come to Spurs?
Well, Mikhail, this is what we're trying to answer at the moment. It depends where he goes, right? If he goes back to Juventus, I don't see them winning anything anytime soon, if I'm honest. I don't see Atletico Madrid are not in great shapes at the moment. They don't look like winning anything anytime soon. So
he might decide to just take a year out as well.
Possibly. I mean, am I being harsh on Conte here? I mean, he gets talked about like the creme de la creme, one of the top 4 or 5 managers in world football. But I see a manager who's very rigid in his way of playing. I see a manager that constantly throws his toys out the pram. A manager that's never been wanted by Europe's elite. And yet I'm told he's top 5 in the world. Why?
He's just got that on his resume, hasn't he? It's no mean feat, those league titles he's won. I'm with you on this one though. I don't really believe in him. I don't see this world class attribute that people talk about. For a start, you just look at Emerson Royale. He keeps picking him. It's baffling. I just surely when you're building a club, being a defensively minded manager, even people argue against that, but I think most people agree. Italian managers do have a reputation for being defensive minded. Why wouldn't you go to a club and then build from the back first? It's not happening, is it?
Agreed.
I just don't see.
Agreed.
I don't see a fit with Conte here at all. Not with what we're doing, which is
right.
What the hell are we doing?
Fans can't understand that, Kuva. So for example, when I've been saying all this time, and I know many of you have as well, this is the thing for me. Unless the owners change the way, which I truly believe they're not going to, and I've resigned myself a million times to this. I've resigned myself to the fact that we're not winning trophies at the moment. But when people keep saying that who's the better manager or replace Conte, I don't think it's about who's the better manager. I think it's about the manager that's like you said, it's the manager that's the right fit. It's i.e. when Poch was here before, he was the right fit because at that time Poch. But I'm not talking about in his last year when it all went wrong. But I'm talking about before that, he wasn't the manager knocking on doors asking for top players. He was the manager happy with the 18, 19-year-old Dele Allis. Yeah, he was happy with the 20-year-old Eric Dyer, right? The 21-year-old Harry Kane. He was happy. The 23-year-old Heung-min Son. He was happy with those players. Conte needs top players the same way Klopp would, the same way Guardiola would. So, for example, your mate Greg that keeps telling me in the chat, Kuva, they need this, they need that. You're telling me what I'm telling you, right? You're telling me what I already know. I'm not expecting Spurs to go and get Klopp, Guardiola, Ancelotti, Zidane. What I am expecting is build something, and I don't see what we're building. I don't see what this manager's doing.
I think that's one of the big divisions amongst the Spurs fans at the moment. There's a lot of people that are saying back Conte because they still hope that that's going to happen. And there's a lot of us on the other side that don't believe that will happen in a million years and just don't see the point in this. I wouldn't even call it a project. It's more like a sort of limping through, hoping for the best at the moment.
That's the key thing. I mean, Pete, let me bring you in here. This is the thing, right? It's everything that's attributed to this club is if we give somebody this, if we do that, if. The other clubs, it's not if, it's when we give the manager this, when we do this. Is that where the friction is in the fan base, like Kuva's just mentioned?
Yeah, it's because this. I don't even think it's if. It's just no, we won't. No, we won't give him this. No, he won't get that. And no, he ain't going to get this.
There's money coming, Pete. There's money coming, bro.
Yeah, so
100 million in January.
Yeah. 350 million in the summer.
There'll be 3 or 4. I reckon 3 players are coming in January, and I reckon we'll spend 80 million quid.
If come the end,
20%. I thought you said 100 million.
I'm just giving myself some wiggle room. Okay, well,
come the end of next week. If Shawnee's there on his channel screaming "Levy out," the accounts haven't gone very well.
Tell you what, I will bet you, Sean, 20 quid to Savva's charity that we do not spend 100 million in January. That's how confident I am.
100 million quid, or if we hang on, I'll take the bet because it's for the charity anyway. But 100 million quid on 3 players or whatever, or if we go down the path of getting some of those contract, like those contract out players that are top quality, either 3 good names, big names, or 100 million quid. How about that?
That's not the bet. That's a bit vague. 100 million quid spend. 100
all right,
million
100. Okay, fucking hell. All right, 100 million quid. I'll 20 quid.
Don't forget, mate.
Yeah, fair enough. 120 quid bet done. Shake.
Just quickly, guys. So the 20 quid bet there, all for charity, guys. We're going to go for another 13 minutes. We're going to finish bang on 9:30. Please smash that like button. There are only 93 likes versus 200 people in the chat. Come on, guys. Smash.
When Geezer a minute ago, you highlighted it, said if Conte goes to win a trophy somewhere else, what does that say? If he goes to Italy and wins the league, they don't say nothing. Because let's be honest, in Italy, if you're one of the top 4 or 5 teams, you've got a genuine chance of winning the league.
Yeah.
You come to England, you ain't. Yeah, you got to beat Man City, and then you got Liverpool. Yeah, it's not going to happen. Yeah, there's not that high percentage like there is in Italy. So if he goes there and does that, that says nothing to me because it's the Italian league. It always swings around.
It's just quickly, just a few quick super chats. We've got 12 minutes of the show left. Foggy Foam, I don't think we are protecting Levy. From my point of view, as I've said the whole way along, this is the way the club is run. Unless Daniel Levy and Enoch leave, this is our business model. Right? This is unfortunately where we are. Do I want them out? Yes, I've wanted them out for 15 years. But do I think they're going to back Conte and everyone's going to suddenly be able to go, see, told you, Savva? No, I'm not worried about being wrong on this one. Same with Mikhail saying, but you have no answer for what next. Again, I can't keep explaining, Mikhail. I'm speaking in plain English. It doesn't matter. That's my point. It doesn't matter. And the two go hand in hand. It's not about rather give Conte time. If Conte's not backed, he'll walk. It's not about me giving him time. But again, I'll say what I've said for the last month, boys. You know I've all said this. If Conte doesn't believe in the project so much that he hasn't signed a contract, why are you fans so adamant that I have to believe in it? No one can answer me that question. Sean, look, we as a club, we're always in these kind of situations, right? Nothing's ever. I can't remember the last time all the fans were all singing off the same hymn sheet. We're all really happy. Are we entitled? Are we wanting more than I suppose we deserve, or are we a fan base that's been so starved of success that now I think everyone's getting tetchy to the point where they're clinging on to Conte as the last chance saloon before they realise nothing's ever going to change?
Yeah, I think that fans are like, I'm someone that has had a lot more patience with Daniel Levy than the average, because I come at it from a different perspective, but I genuinely think it's never been harder to win a trophy. I also think that you're not entitled to win a trophy just because you haven't won one for a long period of time. Everyone just looks at Tottenham, not everyone, but a lot of people, in my opinion, just look at Tottenham through a microscope and only focus on the things that are affecting Tottenham and pay very little attention to the variables of what else is happening, what other clubs are doing, and the fact that, the part of the reason why we're going through this drought is in the last 15 years, this amount of money that's come in, to the Premier League, to football in general. The only teams that have done better than us in the last 15 years are teams that have always done better than us, or that have had oil money or Russian money coming in, with the one exception of Leicester City. Everybody else that has 89%, 90% of all trophies have been won by the same five teams that always win. And to me, I think that I think we are guilty of sitting there and just looking at it and just not even thinking or contemplating about any of the other variables that are responsible for that gap. I think that Tottenham are overdue a trophy for sure, but I don't think that we're entitled to it 100%. I don't, and that's why I think that Daniel Levy has done as good a job as he can. Whether he's taken us as far as he can go. Mm-hmm. With the amount of money that's coming in, and if Liverpool, God forbid, get bought out by Dubai, if Manchester United were to sell to another Emirati, then it's going to be impossible then for Tottenham to compete, because we're doing it the organic way, and the process for those other clubs is to hide the sources of money, not find the sources of money, which is a whole different conversation for a different day. But I think that Daniel Levy and Enoch have done a very good job in trying to make us competitive whilst at the same time trying to make ends meet and trying to do it the traditional manner. So,
okay, last question on Spurs. Then for the last 5 minutes, I do want to quickly touch upon the World Cup, as Pete has just reminded me in the private chat that we didn't get round to it. It's just Spurs; we get so attached to it. First of all, Foggy Foam, mate, listen, I agree with you, but this sentence could be applied to any manager, not just Antonio Conte. All I'm saying is, Foggy Foam, is when Jose was working with these restrictions, fans weren't so kind about backing him, were they? Fans couldn't wait to get rid of the guy quick enough. So why is it one rule for one rule for the other? Other fans saying we should be entitled to better. We pay the highest prices in the league. A debate for another day. Pete, do we deserve a trophy? Are we entitled? Do we deserve one?
As fans or as a club?
I mean, give me two different answers.
As fans, yes. As a club, no. If you deserve one, you get one. As a club, trophies don't land on your lap. You have to go and win them. Yeah, we've not done enough as a club to do that. There've been times where we've been close and we haven't gone all in, so to speak. But as a club, no. As fans, yes, we've been starved long enough. But it is what it is, isn't it? As the old saying goes, you get what you deserved.
Yeah.
Also, as fans, I don't think we, as a whole fan base, we cause enough ruckus when we get pissed off with stuff anyway to affect what we should be getting as fans, if you know what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Kuva, just round that off for me. Do we deserve a trophy? Is that entitlement?
Club deserves nothing. I'm with Peter. Club deserves absolutely nothing. No ambition. As Spurs fans, we deserve bloody medals, like long service medals, that sort of thing.
Knighthoods.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I don't see it as entitled. I see it as, I believe this club is an elite football club. As an elite football club, we should be in amongst the trophies. You can't get it every season, but we should be on a regular basis. And we're just not. It's 14 years back.
Even if it was only cups.
Yeah.
Why are we elite?
Why? The amount of revenue we can bring in. Fan base. That'll do it. If you got that, you should be able to get some success.
Okay. All right. Okay. Just want to round this off, guys. England are playing tomorrow. It's been a tough ask to get people excited for the World Cup. And by people, I include myself in this. There's not really been a lot of advertisement. You're walking around supermarkets. There's nothing there to remind you a World Cup's happening. I've seen nothing, no fanfare at all. But nevertheless, England kick off tomorrow against the mighty Iran in the football world. Guys, what are we expecting from England in this group? And should we be going out tomorrow with no disrespect to Iran, but should we be going out tomorrow, putting out as many attacking players as possible and walking all over this lot? What are we expecting? Sean, sorry, Pete, you want to go?
I'll go for it. I'm expecting a back five and two holding midfielders.
Yeah.
That's what Conte should do next. He get the England job.
Yeah.
It won't be fuck all there either.
Yeah.
I mean, Pete, talk to me on a serious note. I mean, look, what are we expecting? England have got Iran, Wales, and the USA. On paper, we know football's not played on paper, but on paper, surely we're getting out this group and moving on into the knockout rounds, aren't we?
Yeah, well, we should be. I'm not being funny. If we don't, and he should resign. Yeah, if we don't get out of this group, he should quit. 100%. I mean, let's be honest. We've got some of the best attacking players in the tournament. We should be looking at winning the fucking thing. But our defenders another issue. But I can't get excited over Southgate's football. I just don't. It's a tough task, isn't it? It's like pulling teeth. It's like,
not excited by Conte's football, Southgate's football. Where can we go and watch exciting football?
Hard work. It's hard work being an English Tottenham fan.
Exactly.
It is.
Tough. It's tough. And you think the England teams over the years, you've always been, the World Cup, and you think they've generally got a chance, and England football's coming home and all that. But
I think we do have a chance. Like the draw that we've got against the teams, like if you sort of figure out the kind of likely results, I think England could easily get to the semi-finals. And if you get that far, but it's going to be painful watching it to get all the way there. Yeah,
but like the last World Cup, but struggle against Colombia, the first decent team you come up against, you lose.
Yeah.
Then that's always the way. It should be this World Cup with France having players missing, a German team sort of in transition. I mean, we had a great chance to win the Euros and we didn't even take that. The best chance we'd ever get to win our trophy again, I think. But I don't know. It's a painful watch and think about.
Do you think Harry Kane would be more likely to stay at Tottenham if England won the World Cup because then he's at least got something on his winners?
England can't win the World Cup. You can't possibly be given that many penalties.
It's a Kuva. I mean, when you look at the attacking talent England have got in terms of Harry Kane, Callum Wilson, Saka, Grealish, Maddison, Foden, Bellingham. It should be so exciting going into an England game, shouldn't it? It should be. We should be purring to watch those lot play. What I'm fully expecting tomorrow, England to turn up without the likes of Foden and Maddison and
Madison's
and
already
Grealish.
not playing, is he?
I'll-
Who's
I'll-
that?
I'll-
Madison's already injured. He's not playing.
Yeah. Yeah, true.
Well, I mean,
I'm going for 0-0 tomorrow. 0-0,
Wow, really?
followed by 1-1, and then lose to the USA.
Who was that shit game? Was it Algeria we played in the World Cup with Capello? And that was like, that was dreadful.
Iran.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
it's going to be a tough ask. I mean, guys, look, I'm going to leave it there. We'll obviously there'll be more to break down when we meet next Sunday. We'll be able to break down both Tottenham. But anything that's happening in the world of Tottenham, plus 2 England games. So there'll be a lot more to break down. Just want to say thank you to everybody in the chat. It's been a good couple of hours, some really good chat. Everyone's kept it nice and friendly, even if we disagree. So thank you for that. Kuva, thank you very much. As always, hope you enjoyed your fish and chips. Sean, big yourself up. And
Cheers,
I will speak to you in the week. Pete, thank you very much. And as always, guys, listen, please, if you can, go over and jump onto the Spurs Corner for Henry Wright TV. That would be much appreciated. And we will catch you at the same time next week. Much love and see you later. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.